mundong digital, hindi nyo lang siguro napapansin ang karahasan. Nasa ng dugo, nasa ng pasa, nasa ng pisikal na ebidensya. Sigaw nyong mga mapagduga. Pero ang mga salitang inyong binibitawan ay tumatago sa screen at nakararating sa akin. Pagkat ang pang-aabuso rito, hindi man pisikal ay pang-abuso pa rin. Kaya't kahit sa mundong digital hindi nyo ako mahahawakan, ang babaeng tulad ko ay kaya pa rin saktan. Nagmamarka ang mga salita at ang bawat pagbabanta. Nag-iiwan ng takot at pangamba at pagkabalisa. Dahil kung sa mundong digital kaya itong gawin at sabihin, ano pa kaya kung sa mismong mundong ginagalawan natin?
Girls can't. Sometimes you hear it, but more often you feel it.
Girls can't rock. Girls can't be strong. Girls can't chat.
Girls can't be funny.
Girls can't rap. Las chicas no pueden ser las protagonistas.
Girls can't run the show.
Girls can't dance crazy.
Girls can't play girls can't. Yeah, girls can't.
My sport is ice hockey. Everybody told me that I couldn't do it. You have to just be courageous.
I was always told singers really should just sing.
Okay.
Well, let's challenge that whole notion. I heard that girls couldn't rap. I rap. Girls couldn't own businesses. I own my own business.
I like it when people say you can't do something.
And I just learned that you have to be yourself.
Girls can't. Yes, they can. Come on, cover girls.
Rap. Be funny.
Be off the wall.
Rock.
Be strong.
Run the show.
Make the world a little more easy, breezy, and beautiful.
Okay, so good afternoon once again. Good afternoon to all our God advocates and God focals, and also our school administrators who are present to this virtual link. Welcome to the afternoon session of our first day for our Gender and Development Digital Conference 2020. Okay, so just to give you a brief background, what happened kanina umaga, we conducted a lecture regarding affirmative language and also genderizing curriculum. Our speaker is Dr. Caroline Sobrechea from the University of the Philippines, Diliman, Quezon City. Okay, so this afternoon we will be having another talk from the UP family, from another anthropologist, Dr. Helen Dayo from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. She's another Lola, another goddess, expert in gender and development. And later, after Lola age, we will be hearing a sharing from the Mariano Marcos State University regarding their best practices in God extension activities. Okay, so ayun po yung mga topics natin this afternoon. And Tomorrow, may continuation pa po tayo, second day for the Gender and Development Digital Conference. Ang topic naman po natin bukas will be on Safe Spaces Act, what else? Anti-Vow Act, and also self-defense tactics. Okay? We also invited experts on the field, okay, for tomorrow. Okay, so while waiting for our speaker, thank you very much po pala doon sa mga nag-participate during the open forum kaninang umaga. Napaka-active po yung natin, discussion natin with Ma'am Carol. And speaking of Ma'am Carol, naandito pa po siya sa virtual stage. So if you do have some questions pa siguro, if that is not too much kay Dr. Carol, siguro pwede natin siyang tanungin. Okay, I'm just checking if nandito na si Lola H. Pero parang wala pa po ata siya sa link. However, tinawagan ko na po kanina, asking her to log in already in the virtual room. Okay? All right. So I guess while waiting for Lola H, kung nandito ka, mag-sound ka lang or magsalita ka lang, Lola, para we can already start our activity, our topic, our discussion po. Okay, so habang inaantay po natin si Lola H, gusto niyo ba ng games? Anyone? Gusto niyo po ba ng games? Andyan na si Lola. Okay, so gusto niyo ba ng games or hindi na? Okay, walang nagre-respond sa virtual room. Okay, so
Sandali lang.
yes, just okay lang po, Lola H. Go lang po, update your time. Okay, okay, so siguro magpa-games muna ako. So, sandali lang ilalagay ko lang yung mga pangalan ninyo. Pangalan ninyo, saan ba yun? Pangalan ninyo sa aking mahiwagang.
Kahit i-share ko lang
Sige lang, Lola.
Bakit
Copy-paste ko lang itong mga pangalan ninyo sa registration. Parang dumami po ata tayo Nasa 325 na po yung nag-register. Okay, so ilagay ko lang. Paste. Okay. Yan. So nilagay ko lang yung mga pangalan ninyo doon sa ating name selector. Okay, ang last dito ay si Sir Luis. Nag-register na si Sir Luis. Elvin, yung premyo ni Sir Luis Hernandez, naka-register na po ata siya. You can already give his yung preload niya last week. Okay? Sir Luis, at saka ang first, we have Sir Gonzales. Okay? Okay, so again, ang laro po natin, meron po tayong fill in the box, meron tayong choose the lucky pot, meron din po tayong Miss Universe, and meron din po tayong, ano yung isa? Choose the lucky pot, saktuhan. Okay? Saktuhan, fill in the box, at saka meron tayong choose the lucky pot, and meron tayong Miss Universe na pag-game. Okay? Nagdagdag na kami ng papremyo Okay. So, name select po tayo. Sino po kaya ang unang mananalo for this afternoon? Si Ma'am Maribel Cagto. Parang nanalo na ito. Oo, nanalo na ata si Ma'am Maribel. Tama ba, Elvin? Yes. Pasensya na, Ma'am, Let's give chance to others. Okay. April Joy Bernardino. Nandito po ba? April Joy Bernardino. Say winner kung nandito ka po. April Joy. Lola H, sabihin mo lang kung ready ka na po, ma'am.
Kasi, yes. Sasabihin ko agad.
Sige pa. Ma'am April Joy Bernardino, nandito na po ba kayo? Say winner kung nandito na po kayo. Count of 10, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, ma'am. Okay, next.
Bakit nakalagay dito? You can start screen sharing.
Ay, sorry, Lola H. Naka-share kasi ako.
Okay.
Sige. Just open your Lola H, your slides. Standby lang. And then later after this, pasok ka na namin po.
Teka, open na siya.
Okay. Apo. Okay, Dr. Rowena de Guzman, nandito po ba si ma'am? Ma'am de Guzman, say winner kung nandito po kayo. Okay. Lola H, okay na po ba tayo?
I guess so.
Okay. All right. So once again, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the afternoon session of our Gender and Development Digital Conference 2020. This is part of our 80-day campaign, our celebration of the 80-day campaign to end violence against women. Okay. So to introduce our second speaker for today, I would like to welcome the Education Supervisor for Information and Communication Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, let us all welcome Dr. Christian Lynette Kazem.
Hello, good afternoon, CAD advocates. I am Lynette and I am excited and honored to introduce to you our next resource person, Dr. Maria Helen F. Dayo. Dr. Maria Helen F. Dayo is an anthropologist and a CAD specialist at the University of the Philippines, Los Baños. She has degrees in agricultural economics in UPLB and master's degree in development studies at the Institute of Social Studies at The Hague, the Netherlands. She obtained her PhD in anthropology at the University of the Philippines, Diliman through PCARD DOST scholarship, where she worked on her dissertation about gender and cultural understanding and environmental economics. She was trained in rural research and rural policy at IDS at the University of Sussex, Brighton. She is known for her interdisciplinary engagement in gender and women's studies, water governance, food security, and climate change. Dr. Dayo is a member of the Gamma Sigma Delta Honor Society of Agriculture, also a regular member of the National Research Council of the Philippines. She is a member of International Association of Feminist Economics, Women's Studies Association of the Philippines, Women Organizing for Agriculture and Natural Resources, among others. Let us all welcome Dr. Maria Helen F. Dayo.
Okay, good afternoon. Good afternoon. It is indeed my pleasure. Good afternoon. It is indeed my pleasure to be part of the commemoration of End Vow. And my topic, as assigned to me by Dr. Mel, is to focus on gender research and pandemic. So, by now, it has become clear that COVID-19 pandemic is not only a global health emergency, but also a leading global it's a global issue that leads us to global economic downturn. In this presentation, I would like to focus on interconnected concerns, focusing on gender perspective in research and innovation, and the gender research agenda for higher education, and probably provide some topics to illustrate how research on pandemic affect women and men differently. So, why gender perspective in research and innovation? According to Dr. Alicia Walter, and this was presented during a conference in 2005, there are three perspectives by which you can why gender perspective is necessary in our research. One is we have to understand that there are inequalities and barriers in social structure and organization. And what do we mean by inequalities and barriers in social structure and organization? It is about sex, gender, race, ethnicity, economic and social uh, social structure and organization in our era. Second is the symbolic and cultural conditions, because there are elements that are not, I would say, not really clearly linked as perceived by others, but there are symbolic and cultural circumstances that surround why people, especially women, behave differently from men. And lastly is the premises for the production of knowledge, the intersectionality of natural, technical paradigms with sociological and humanist approaches. These are the three perspectives that I found very useful in looking at developing research and innovation agenda. Then we also interrogate why we need to give attention to the marginalized people in social context. That is leading to understanding the social and cultural context of inequalities in our society. And as researcher and as academic, we have to reject the strict objectivity as feasible and as a goal. Why? Because most of our scientists would say, well, we are dealing with this objectively. But leading to this objectively would mean to say making male as a default, or everyone will take from particular culture. So, as a feminist researcher, we have to reject such objectivity as possible. And that is also our goal. And as a researcher and as a social scientist at last, we have to recognize the individual experiences, life stories, and are not variable, but important to understand social terms. Many times we use gender as a variable, as if an explanatory variable why the differences. But we have to go beyond that by understanding the social or gender relations within a social context. And also, research and innovation shall be oriented towards the, the continuing flux in social institutions, structures, and culture. So, in this, we have to carry with us our tools about gender in research and innovation. Now, I would like to focus on the gender responsive research programs. As CHED, we really have to focus on the CMO1 series of 2015, which discusses the curriculum development, making our curriculum gender responsive and gender sensitive, from teaching to content, from approaches to strategies to content of our curriculum. That is why the technical panel on gender and women's studies have focused on developing a masteral program on gender and women's studies. Third, we also have to work on the gender responsive extension programs. And lastly, I will discuss more thoroughly on gender responsive research program of CHED as implicated in the CMO1 series of 2015. I know most of you are familiar with the gender responsive research program. Who aren't? Of course, we all know this is what we call our Bible. So there are 2 rules and 9 sections in the GRRP. And Rule 1 is about policy and coverage, while Rule 2 is about enabling mechanisms. Section 1 is about the statement of policy. CHED shall support policies, researches, technology, and training programs, and other support services, including financing, production, and marketing, to encourage active participation of women in national development. This is also stated in the Magna Carta of Women, Section 5. I will not deal much on this, but I would like to focus on the NERA, or Section 2, complementation of the National Higher Education Research Agenda. Section 2 establishes the general policies on higher education research, identifies the strategies and initiatives to develop the research capacity and enhance productivity of higher education institutions, and identifies priority areas for research and research-related programs. I know all of you, those universities, colleges, and local colleges and schools are encouraged to develop a gender-responsive, consistent with the National Higher Education Research Agenda. You may also request CHED for financial assistance to support your research. Section 3 is about scope, application, and limitation. It says that the guidelines covers all HEIs pursuant to the law and existing rules and regulations of CHED. Section 4 shall consider the following: CMOs on the disciplinary program and institutionalization of GAD database with sex disaggregated data and gender statistics. So if your universities and colleges do not have this sex disaggregated data, kindly do so, because it is within the context of how are we going to develop a gender responsive policy research for our schools if we don't have our GAD database. And also, gender responsive GRRP shall consider the following: GAD policy and program assessment and evaluation. It is actually part of your GAD agenda. I know you are guided by CHED in crafting your own GAD agenda framework, and also guided by the Magna Carta of Women. Second is establishment of ethics board. This is a strong recommendation. We are compelled to develop our ethics board. Who among you does not have or has not established ethics board? This ethics board is responsible to ensure that gender-sensitive research agenda are followed. You have to come up with your specific guidelines on the ethics of doing research. GAD guidelines on ethical standards in research, and incentives to support structures for the conduct of research related to gender and development. The priority areas are integrated into your GAD planning and budgeting, research and women's studies, and social issues in Magna Carta of Women, and gender empower and decision making, like the citizenship issue, who decides what constitute the power relations within your universities and other HEIs. Section 5 is about your agenda, or you can map up and strengthen economic empowerment. Most of you, from our review of universities program, they are focused more on livelihood, how to provide livelihood programs for women. You can review of what you're doing in terms of economic empowerment. Again, we have observed that giving livelihood programs may also result to marginalizing the other sector, that of male access to economic resources. But nevertheless, the livelihood programs for women specifically is a good start for their own economic empowerment. Second is counting the unaccounted. IP especially, or the indigenous peoples sector, are usually unaccounted, and their values and contributions are not valued. Why? In my own study on rice farming, it says that women holds the sustainability of our organic agriculture. They keep the seeds, the practices, and yet these values are not evaluated or they are not counted. You can do your own understanding of why women work shall be valued. The matching the mismatches. This is especially related to what we call matching of courses. Gender tracking in the curriculum, you will find that more women are registered or enrolled in women-dominated courses, but slowly these are moving away from that stereotyping of courses. They are now sabi nga nila, encroaching to the engineering and medical sciences. Alternatively, we will find that males are into hotel and restaurant management, isn't it? So these are the areas by which you can do studies. And of course, the emerging gender issues of sexual orientation, gender identity, and expression. So these are studies, and more recently we were asked by Chet to assist them in the review of anti-discrimination law. So this is Rule 2, which is tackling or discussing enabling policies and mechanisms. It is all HEIs, as it says, shall develop a policy to mainstream gender equality and the principles of women's empowerment in their research programs in accordance with their respective thrust and mandates and vision, mission, and philosophy statement. So let us go back to your GAD agenda framework. On your own mandate, what are the gender issues? That is why it's very important that we work on GAD or sex disaggregated data as institutionalized in all our universities and colleges. So take note of this. And 7 is about the ethics board. The ethics board is responsible for setting the minimum standards that will assist HEIs to conform to the principles of God and ensure that these are observed by everyone in the conduct of research. Who among you, kung wala pa po kayo na ethics board, kindly establish one, because in all our universities and colleges, meron po tayong ethics board na siya nagsasabi ano ang nararapat at hindi nararapat o hindi akma sa pagkandak ng research. And then, it is strongly stated in Rule 2 that JRRP Ethics Board shall protect the rights and welfare of research participants by reviewing protocols to ensure the risks to participants are minimized. So dapat po ito ay bahagi ng inyong pag-create ng GRRP Ethics Board. Informed consent document, ito po ay lagi na nating ginagawa. Ito po ay kahalintulad ng FPIC or first and prior informed consent about the accuracy and completeness of your research. Kalimitan po, dito sa informed consent document ay masisecure natin once we talk with our participants about the nature of our research, their contribution to this, the conduct of research, and what are the gains that they are going to benefit from this research. In other words, ito po ay palitan. Participation po ito, participatory, at hindi po ito dapat i-issue na the researcher and the researchee. It is, mutual trust and confidence shall be part of the ethical standard of our research study. So dapat po isaalang-alang natin who are our participants in this study, and they shall be well informed about our study or research. Section 7 also provide initial review to ensure that ethical guidelines are met. So ito po ay gagawin ng ating ethical board. Conduct ethical review through formal meetings with co-equals, with co-researchers, and also with the research participants. It is also our responsibility to evaluate annual progress of ongoing projects and assess final reports of all research activities. Ngayon po, malimit na ginagawa natin iteration of our studies because somehow, somewhere in the research protocol, baka meron po tayong nakukumit na violation set by the ethics board. So we have to make amends if ever we conduct it, or the content or the findings of our research. We have to go to be iterative about our process of our research. And this GRRP Ethics Board shall ensure that there is what we call protection and respect for the privacy of our research participants. It says that the exercise of the Ethics Board shall not issue final decisions after mere circulation of proposals. That is why some of you are receiving NDA, non-disclosure agreement, correct? So NDA protects our researchers. At the same time, they are napoprotektahan natin sa maaaring mangyaring tulad ng plagiarism o tinatawag na pagkokopya o pagkakahalin tulad ng hindi sinasadya ng mga proposals natin. So, kinakailangan po na igalang po natin yung NDA, yung tinatawag na non-disclosure agreement between the reviewer of the research and the research proponent. And scientific evaluation shall be completed before ethical evaluation. So in other words, there are two phases. One is the scientific significance of the study, the legitimacy and the validity of the scientific research, and the ethical evaluation. How are you going to conduct this research? Are our participants secure or protected in the course of our conduct of the study? So yan ay ilan lamang po sa maaari nating tingnan. Section 7 also emphasizes, Section 8 supposedly is about documentation and mentoring and monitoring and evaluation. It says that God-related research shall be consistent with the guidelines set forth in the NERA by the Technical Panel of Gender and Women's Studies as mentioned in Part 5 on curriculum development. And I think this is also the reason why Dr. Mel invited me to be part of this sharing of this webinar, because together with Professor Aurora de Dios, we lead in the development and crafting of the gender-responsive NERA. Later, I will show you how we develop it, although it is not for quotation. It is still subject for further review of the committee, of the technical panel. Budgetary, and the last section of Rule 2 is budgetary and planning requirements. So it is, I would say, it is compulsory for us to ensure that our research is institutionalized in our GAD budget and plan. So this is very clear. You can use your 5% of GAD budget partly for your GAD responsive research program. So klaro po 'yon. Dapat po kunin natin doon, and also partly pwede rin naman po nating i-access ang GED GRRP. So given this, there are challenges and opportunities. Future research direction. COVID-19 is a disease that emerged in China. At the end of 2019, which spread rapidly over the 5 continents and was declared nawawala. Okay. Okay. And was declared to be pandemic by the World Health Organization only in March 11, 2020. And in the Philippines, it was declared on March 16, 2020. And we are faced with challenges. How are we going to proceed with the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goals, and that of Ambition 2040? You will find that only 26% of the 85 gender-related SDG indicators are widely available. That means about 22 SDG indicators were made available. And the findings from the report shows that 11 times more time on unpaid care and domestic work. And according to one webinar presentation I attended to, they said that they might be able to change the timeline for our Ambition 2040. So they said that Ambition 2040, there are 3 pillars: malasakit, pagbabago, at kaunlaran. In the Harmonized National R&D Agenda, which was crafted by the NRCP DOST, it says that there are 5 factors, there are 5 sectors. One is National Integrated Basic Research Agenda, health, agriculture, aquatic and natural resources, industry, energy and emerging technology, and disease and disaster risk reduction and climate change adaptation. Now, according to the report I read and I attended, they might prioritize health because of pandemic. Because according to the report, they have to combat the disease that requires production of what they call epidemiological and clinical knowledge, as well as diagnostic research, diagnostic tests, treatment, and vaccines. From the time from March 2020 up to late October 20, and as of now, and as early as 2020, we, the University of the Philippines National Institute of Health, developed diagnostic tests. But it took a while to be actively used because it has to go through the process of FDA accreditation. And it was only last August that it is now made available. Treatment and vaccines, our government will purchase vaccines, but they still have to go through the process, medical and clinical trials. Within this context, research and technological development must be prioritized, as well as rapid publication of the results of this research. So this is what they have presented to us, the R&D priority areas and program. But as I said, health will be prioritized accordingly. Drug discovery and development, diagnostics, functional foods, hospital, and so on and so forth. Now, the technical panel on gender and women studies tried their effort in 2018 to come up with the proposed NIBRA-GAD agenda and the proposed NERA-GAD agenda. We are proposing, there are more actually, but I'm just showing you what we have done so far. That taking into consideration the priority areas before or pre-COVID times, we came up with gender-inclusive comprehensive studies on vulnerable ecosystem for sustainable development. That is, where does it go? Doon po sa sector ng disaster risk management. Gender-responsive scientific knowledge management system, saan po siya papasok? So these are the things that we try to come up in 2018, but still this is subject for further review of the technical panel. So this is not for quotation, but it is just an introduction of what the technical panel is doing since 2016. We are done with the curriculum development, and that is still subject for public consultation. And this one also is the harmonized gender responsive research agenda for CHED. So, and now comes the COVID-19. So you will find that the Philippine higher education response to COVID-19 pandemic came up with certain resolutions about the quality of research, about the different kinds of resolutions given out to all SUCs and HEIs. I will not deal with it, but you will find that in the course of the pandemic, now I'm not saying it's a season, the scientific literature relating to COVID-19 has grown exponentially, accompanying the evolution of the number of cases and deaths from this disease worldwide. And between January to May 2020, Dr. Brainard, I got this from the Science Journal, that from January to May 2020, about 31,000 articles had been published. And by mid-June, about 50,000 articles had been published. However, incorporating the perspective of sex, gender, and race is scarce despite the evidence that these characteristics play a substantial role in shaping risk of disease, death, and other associated harm brought about by COVID-19. In the Philippines, you will find that there are studies. These were presented in webinars that look into the gender differentials and the consequences of the COVID-19 crisis. But generally, most of their studies are covered are into economic access. Studies have shown observations that the context of the Filipino experience of pasaway. Ano bang ibig sabihin ng pasaway? Ang sabi nila, matitigas ang ulo ng mga Pilipino ayaw sumunod sa ipinag-uutos ng IATF o ng Interagency Task Force for COVID-19. Bakit maraming nagpupumilit na maghanap buhay despite the lockdown? Again, makikita po natin yan sa paunang slides na naibahagi ko sa inyo, the social context by which gender perspective shall get into the picture of doing research. So, marami na rin pong pag-aaral. But, in many cases, the authors are predominantly male. Kakaunti o ilan lamang ang mga researchers na mga kababaihan na napapublish ang kanilang work. The more recent one which I assisted is the gender sensitivity of work from home arrangement, especially for government employees. What gender issues may arise out of the work from home arrangement? Health threats, and therefore, IATF implement measures such as curfews, lockdowns, and health practices. Simple ang health practices na sinasabi nila. Maghugas ng kamay ng higit sa 20 segundo. Awitin ang happy birthday at ito po ay maaari nang matanggal daw ang virus. Lockdowns resulted to the perceived katigasan o pasaway ng mga Pilipino. Bakit kinakailangan nilang lumabas? Maghanap buhay, kalimitan. Ilang mga mahihirap na manggagawa tulad ng mga drivers natin ang nawalan ng trabaho dahil ipinagbawal na sila ay magkaroon ng kita. So, these are important research topic that you may be able to come up with. There are international initiatives and my own personal advocacy that calls for renewed commitment of gender-sensitive research. And you will find from the ILO April 2020 that the high rate that the world significantly impacted women, and among high-income countries, women are more affected than men. All of them are affected. All of us are affected, but women are more affected than men, especially in low-income groups. The high risk are women. Women's sector. In the medium-high risk sector, you will find that more than male, women are. In the low-medium risk sectors, 60 are more vulnerable, more women are vulnerable in low-medium risk sector, and the low risk almost equal. Why this is so? Any guess? Because from my observation in the Philippines, both men and women have to come out from their home despite the lockdown because they have to earn a living. Or kaya sa iba't ibang pamaraan, kinakailangang kumita. As I said, health is not only a global health COVID-19 pandemic is not only a global health emergency, but is also leading to a more global economic downturn. So marami po sa mga low-medium risk sector ang kinakailangang lumabas at maghanap buhay. So this is according to ILO April 2020. Maybe later publication will sustain the same results. So, and as member of academic community, I made out of my observation and my own understanding of come up with gender sensitive research or activities. We have to emphasize that the role of those involved in scientific research, we in the academy, the researchers, the faculty and the students, and the founders also, shall promote equity for the benefit of everyone. And this research topic that I am suggesting to do are the following. Actually, at around April or May, there was a call for gender research, gender sensitive research, proposal to conduct COVID-19 studies. However, there was no call for a gender sensitive research on COVID. I tried to volunteer myself, but I was denied because sabi nila, may comorbidities ako and because I am a senior citizen. I am a senior researcher and to be engaged is high risk. Okay, despite that, I went on attending webinar and these are some of my observation together with my colleagues to really look into this. What are the gender differences in the perception of COVID-19? Paano nga ba tinitingnan ng babae at ng lalaki ang kanilang pananaw sa COVID-19? Is it, sabi nga nila, is it just a health emergency? Or is it an economic emergency? Or a cultural? Or an emotional or psychological issue that needs to be addressed? Second, and this is one of our major observation, I guess, in the academy, the gender differences in access to virtual networks. Both students and faculty are affected by this. Others are less affected because they have access to networks. Ika nga, meron silang tinatawag nating stable access to networks. But there are more who are not. In UPLB, there was not a study, but there was a survey. Who among us have experienced difficulty in accessing virtual networks? Both students and faculty and the academy. I was not able to get, but my thinking is that more students have less access to virtual networks. Marami na po na tayo nakikita, mga istorya, mga sinasabi natin, mga nababasa natin sa dyaryo, sa mga report, mas mataas sa mga batang nagko-commit ng suicide. Merong namamatay sa gitna ng bagyo upang kuhanin ang kanilang mga modules at sasagutin. These are some of the issues brought about by COVID-19 coupled with series of typhoons that affected our learning and access to virtual networks. Marami sa inyo ang gustong gumawa ng pag-aaral nito on gender differences in access to virtual networks. Gender economics of education, probably. It's also a good start. The impact of homeschooling or the among families. And who are these families? Are these families who have a direct access to virtual networks? Homeschooling is still different from what we call online schooling. The impact of closing of universities and virtual lectures. Ilan na po sa atin ang nagsara or limited access to our university facilities like library, access to laboratory facilities, and the virtual lecture. They offered synchronous and asynchronous mode of learning. Mapapagkatiwalaan po ba natin ito? Parang maitaguyod natin, yung ano ba ang kahihinatnan? What will be its outcome of doing virtual lecture? The course packs, are these appropriate in the context of our environment under COVID-19 pandemic? And also, it will be interesting. Where do young girls and young boys go in terms of their career choices? Are they going to the mainstream disciplines or vocational that they can earn immediately, or what? The career choices, where do they go? And this is actually part of the major higher education GRRP agenda, the matching of the mismatch. You can work around that area of career choices among our students in the closing of universities. How about publication success? How many among us, faculty, have successfully pursued production of knowledge in the midst of COVID-19? We can think about it. Maybe internal to our environment, internal to our system, we can look at this as a possible area for research. And more importantly, and I would say this is really important, and there are initial studies, although most of them are annotated. These are the impacts of lockdowns on domestic violence. Nabasa natin sa dyaryo. Because of lockdowns, women and girls' rights to her body were violated by those who implement the rules. Siguro nabasa naman ninyo ang ilang mga report na napapadyaryo ika nga. And of course, we really have to look into how does the pandemic affect gender inequality in academics? This is also consistent with the gender economics of education. How does pandemic affect gender inequality, which has been existing even before COVID-19? For example, in terms of promotion, in terms of scholarship, in terms of conducting research. So you can also look at that. Maybe then work hours and employment. Kasi doon sa inilabas ng DOLE, marami po mga nagsarang kumpanya at ang resulta nito ay ang kawalan ng hanap buhay sa ating mga manggagawa. So ano po ang ating magagawa dyan? Hindi ba maganda rin pag-aralan yun? And sa mga naiisip ko pa rin, ano nga ba ang impact? Ano ang gender differences in terms of social responsibility during COVID-19? Is our government real in reaching out our frontliners? Social security, there are reports that our frontliners were denied support from PhilHealth, accessing PhilHealth. And it is lamentable because they are the ones who suffered the most. So may mga wala pang scientific or scholarship study done on that. Social security during COVID-19. One, the frontliners, our doctors, our nurses, our medtech, our barangay officers, those who implement those who implement lockdowns. So these are kind of research that you may want to do while we are still on COVID. Now, seemingly, para bang hindi magagawa dahil hindi tayo pwedeng lumabas. May mga pamamaraan, at ito nga ay another issue. Virtual networks, the sustainability and the workability of our network. So, as we go back, gender equality is key to gender research not only during the pandemic, but all throughout our very own existence as academics doing gender-responsive research. Thank you for your attention and vow now. Thank you very much, and I hope you learn from this short presentation of gender research and pandemic. I am now open for questions. So you may want to ask.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Dayo, for that
You.
very informative presentation about gender, pandemic, and research. Okay, so as mentioned by Dr. Dayo, she is now open for questions, clarifications. If you do have any, just remember our rule, our engagement rule, that you need to identify first your self and the institution you are representing before you will go into ask your questions. Okay, so the virtual floor is already open for your questions. Do we have any question from our participants? Shout out to all our participants who are also watching us in our Facebook page and in our YouTube channel. Maraming salamat po for joining us to this Gender and Development Digital Conference. Okay, so anyone from the Zoom account who wants to deliver his or her question? Anyone? Lola H, parang wala po ata magtatanong.
Bakit? Hindi pa malinaw?
Parang ano ata. Okay.
Na-overwhelmed ba sila?
Oo nga po, parang naano ata sila doon sa topic natin about research.
Kasi ang hirap naman ng topic mo, gender, research, and pandemic.
Hindi naman po, Lola H.
But it is really high time to really work on these topics, gender research and the pandemic. Mapapansin natin, kalimitan ang mga research natin, yung mga traditional mode of doing things, right?
Yes.
And so doing, lagi lang tayo nakafocus sa ano ba yung research natin. Let me go back to my earlier presentation about ambition natin 2040. kung saan nakalagay doon ayon sa DOST yung mga priority areas. Hindi ba? So,
Yeah.
andoon ang basic research agenda, andoon din ang mga topics tungkol sa water governance, tungkol sa mga usapin na yun ay kinakaharap during our normal times. But we have to add another layer of doing research in the time of pandemic. How do we conduct research that will require us to use laboratory facilities, that will require us to conduct survey or go to the field work and have a good handle on what's really happening on the ground? We are limited by the fact that we cannot have a talk-to-talk, what you call it, malayang usapan na magkaharap tayo that we can relate our own understanding of what's happening within us as maybe as tatawagin natin na mga biktima na apektuhan ng ating tinatawag na COVID-19, na isang pandemic. Dagdag pa dito ang mga bagyo na dumating sa atin. 4 na bagyo yan na dumating na sunod-sunod. Ano yung mga usapin na yun? Nasa topic 5 ng ambition ng ating research agenda, disaster risk management. Hindi ba? Doon
Yes.
sa gender equality, for example, or yung sa SDG 6, which is water and sanitation. SDG 6 tells us about water and sanitation. How do women are affected by this reality of no safe water to drink? Whose role was that? It is the role of the state to ensure that safe water is served to the public. But how about access to safe water? So these are and base na rin sa pag-aaral ko sa water governance, may tatawagin tayong water elites. And these water elites are those who have control about water supply. So, ang lumalabas dito, kung sino may control, siya ang maaaring namamahala sa distribution ng water. And especially in a community relations, makikita natin na, for example, in a study I conducted in Mount Banahaw, when water becomes an economic good, binibili mo ngayon ang tubig when it was initially perceived as water, as sacred. Now you are buying that. It has been commoditized. At yung mga, sabi nga nung mga nakausap ko noong pang pre-COVID, ang damdamin nila pag sila ay gumagamit ng water from the sacred source, sila ay gumagaling sa kanilang mga karamdaman. And these are the women whose access and understanding of water is perceived to be sacred. Now they are buying this water. So makikita po natin may impact, may gender impact ito. So dahil din doon sa mga studies na nagawa ko, lumalabas din na kinakailangan ng community organizing. Ang pagsasama-sama ng mga taong nangangailangan ng tubig upang maisiguro na sila ay may kasapatan at sapat at ligtas na tubig na kanilang ginagamit sa araw-araw. So, these are the things na nakikita ko sa aking pag-aral pre-COVID times. Now, how do you do that during pandemic? Can we use this virtual network to do our research? Or maybe as an alternate, as an academic, we may come up with reviewing our past research, review them to make a scholarship article on gender differences. So we can work on all these things that fortunately, ika nga, nabigyan din tayo ng positibo ng COVID-19. Baka pwede na tayo mag-conduct yung sasabihin ko ang armchair research because we are doing we are reviewing our past research that will somehow come up with a new phase of understanding of making gender-responsive research. So wala pa nagtatanong?
Doc, Lola H, meron po tayong question. No? This came from our Facebook page. This is from Mr. Mark Lawrence Ryutotar. The questions, Lola H, is what could be the possible strategies in assessing the GAD mainstreaming of schools, especially this pandemic?
Yeah, actually, internal yan sa inyong universidad, sa inyong eskwelahan. What I can suggest is to look at what are the tools that we can use. Malimit ngayon, ginagamit natin, nagagawa tayo ng focus group discussion using Zoom, maybe, or other methods of virtual, yun nga, generally, tatawagan natin gender virtual networks, gagamitin natin yung mga platform that will help us conduct our research. For example, in mainstreaming gender out of during this time of malayo ka sa physical school, physical space. Maybe you can come up with a parang quick handles, quick and fast way of doing that research. First, nakikita ko lang naman, ay pwede kayong gumamit muna ng Zoom as a platform. Very useful yan, kaya lang may bayad. Kung 1 hour lang, libre. So, how do you come up with a question? Na focus lang mga 5 at most 10 questions with 6 to 8 participants. So focus lang po yung mga tanong natin doon sa objective ng inyong research. You can do that. Alam ko po may kasanayan kayo sa paggawa ng research. Ita-transform lamang po natin, transposition of our method to a Zoom-like approach, a Zoom-like platform. Marami na pong ginagawa yung IVLE, Integrated Virtual Learning module. Pwede rin pong gawin, meron tayong tanong, and then may sagot, and then pwede rin pong gawin yon. So you can do that. Nasagot ko ba o hindi? Hindi. Pero ito lang isang pamamaraan by which you can do your research.
Yes. Tama po. Actually, nagkakandak naman po tayo dito sa region ng mga training, Lola H, regarding gender mainstreaming. Kung ano yung mga tools na ginagamit natin to assess kung yung mga activities nila ay may mga gender concepts na pwede nating tignan. If those activities are addressing mga gender issues po. Okay,
Yes,
so another question, Lola H. This came from Sir Ronnie Romero from the Data Center College of the Philippines. How about in qualitative research? How can we safeguard issues on gender sensitivity, particularly in case study?
Okay, there are several laws that protect our participants, ano? So, yung mga batas na yon, isasaalang-alang natin, irerespeto natin in doing our study. So, paano natin ipoprotektahan yan? Ang ethics board shall set up guidelines. Meron na po kaya silang ethics board, ethics committee. So, sa ethics committee, ilalagay po dyan isa-isa. Ano yung ating, ano yung dapat nating gawin in times of conduct of research. Saglit lang, meron akong ginawa in doing research para makita lang po natin yung tatawagin nating ano yung mga protocol na dapat natin gawin in doing research. Ito po ay isang parang guideline upang ma-avoid natin ika nga yung bukod sa sensitivity ay respect to privacy. Yan, nakita ko na po. Dito po, doon sa base doon sa aking ginawang,
Lola H, can you share po yung slides nila po? Wala po kami nakikita, ma'am.
isi-share ko rin to. So, dalawa.
No, yes po. If it's okay with you, ma'am.
Bakit wala siya dito? Kasi, saan ko siya papasok?
Sa share screen po, Lola, i-open niyo po yung slides. Ganun pa rin yung dati nung ginawa natin kanina po.
Share na? Na-share na siya?
Wala pa po, Lola H. Kelvin, parang nagkakaroon ng problem kay nagkakaroon ng problem si Lola H. Sharing. Lola, wala. Lola, pwede na daw.
Pwede na?
Pakitry po ulit.
Okay. Kasi pwede. Bakit ayaw niya?
PowerPoint ba yun, Lola? Or
Pero PDF siya.
PDF?
Oo.
Oo. I-open lang po natin yung PDF file and then punta tayo sa share screen and then hanapin po natin yung PDF file po.
Ano nilalagay natin?
Na-activate ba yung share button ni Lola H?
Hindi.
Pwede ba yun? Pwede. Okay. Lola, pwede daw yung share button niyo po.
Share screen. Wala siya dito. Bakit ganun?
Ano na lang, Lola? Siguro you can
Here.
attach.
I found it.
Okay. Sige po. Meron na po, Lola.
In focus. Ayan.
Yes po.
Ito lang, ibabahagi ko lang yung research misconduct. Kita ba?
Kita po, Lola H. Medyo i-maximize lang po natin konti yung
Yung research
size.
misconduct, tama ba?
Opo.
Okay.
Okay na po.
Okay na?
Okay na po, Lola.
Yan.
Yan.
Okay, base doon sa tanong, ito yung ibabahagi ko, ano yung dapat nating iwasan sa pagkahandak ng research natin. This is also whether pre-COVID or during COVID or during pandemic, ito dapat ang ating isaalang-alang. One is a publication of evidence, data, results, or consent. So, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina, kinakailangan natin mag-secure ng free, first, prior informed consent sa ating research participants. Because sa pagsasubmit natin ng article for publication, hinahanap ang Certificate of the Conduct of Research. Lalo na kung ang iyong participants are those in the marginalized and vulnerable sectors, example, the IP, the indigenous peoples, the women, or women suffering from other harm, you have to secure prior informed consent. Another misconduct in research na ito ay nangyayari sa atin, yung misrepresentation of evidence, data, results, or consents. If we do this, then hindi po tayo nararapat na maging researcher. Plagiarism or copying of ideas, data or text without permission or acknowledgement is a no-no for the academe. Kaya lagi po natin sinasabi, nire-review, sabi nga sa ethics board, na bago ilabas ang anumang proposal, dapat ito ay na-review na ethically. Walang pangungopya, walang paggamit ng salitang nauna na, yung konsepto o ideya na may nabanggit na, o may ginawa ng pag-aaral. Ang kalimitan, ang ginagawa ngayon, may kahalintulad na pag-aaral to strengthen your study. Hindi naman nangangahulugan na isang unique ang study mo, but the building of new knowledge on the same topic is encouraged. Baka may kakulangan. At yung research mo will fill in the gap of doing research. Mismanagement of data or evidence. For example, in the kung nabalitaan ninyo ng isang laboratory, it's a global medical drug company, na bigla nilang kinuha muli ang kanilang sana ay ilalabas na resulta ng study. Dahil ayon sa pagpatuloy ang iteration process ng kanilang research, something went wrong. And they have to retrieve all the information na inilabas nila. And they have to go back because it is our duty. In other words, it is our duty to give information that are truthful. So, kinakailangan po natin gawin yun. So, another is breach of duty of care to subject of participants. Halimbawa, hindi sinasadya. Nabanggit nyo ang pangalan ng inyong participants in a study that is highly confidential. You will be liable. So therefore, ito po ay ilang bahagi lamang na dapat isaalang-alang ng ating ethics board. So therefore, yung tanong ni Sir ay upang magkaroon ng pag-iingat. Ang mga proponent kasi magpo-propose siya ng mga research, pero isisiguro niya na ang research niya ay isa sa ilalim dito sa mga conduct of doing research.
Okay. Okay. Thank
Ayaw
you.
mag-work? Ayaw mag-move?
Scroll down lang po natin, Lola.
Ha?
Scroll down po. Ayaw po ba?
Yun. Yan. Oo nga naman, ito ka pala PDF na. Okay, we have to exercise honesty, objectivity, integrity, and respect for intellectual property. Sinasabi, we have to report data honestly, the results, methods, and procedures. That is why it is also encouraged that let us researchers, as members of the academic community, we have to open up, discuss our study, the results of our study with our colleagues, and be open to criticism. Huwag nating sabihin o huwag nating iwalang bahala yung kanilang mga komento. At kung tayo magko-komento, be very objective at saka be professional. Huwag nating sabihin, ay may ginawa ng isa si ganyan, ito naman lumalabas, etc. etc. Always remember that we are building up to the new knowledge of a particular topic or issue. At muli, babanggitin ko, avoid bias in experimental design. Ito po ang kalimitan na nangyayari. Sometimes yung ating experimental design ay una, dapat angkop. Appropriate ang design. Pero yung appropriateness ng design natin, experimental design, shall be non-biased. Anong ibig po sabihin natin ng non-biased? Na parang immediately alam natin ang resulta. Iwasan po yun. Maghanap po tayo through review of related literature on the tools and methods of analyzing our data, so that our interpretation of the data shall be consistent with what I would say to the true facts. Kung mapapansin natin yung resulta ng DOH about the numbers, about ilan ang namatay, ilan ang naka-recover, ilan ang naapektuhan. Kung mapapansin ninyo, nakakalito. Sa total ba ng naapektuhan, ilan dito ang naka-recover, ilan dito ang nasawi, at ilan dito ang continue. Fortunately, nabago nga po yun. Na ngayon po, mas malinaw na po sa atin ang interpretasyon ng mga datos na lalabas. So, yun po ay yung mga datos natin. Next, responsibility of the researcher or investigator is to keep your agreements and act with sincerity. As a researcher, kung napansin po ninyo, tungkol sa usapin ng dolomite, ang mga scientists po natin sa UP ay naglabas na kanilang impormasyon tungkol sa ano ang higit na angkop na pagsagot sa usapin sa Manila Bay. Ito ay kinwestiyon ng DNR, specifically na kanilang USEC for beautification. Pero hindi po na isaalang-alang ang integridad ng activity na yon. Dahil bumagyo, umulan lamang, na-wash out na, ang sagot naman nila, na-wash out, wash in, and so on and so forth, and that's a natural thing. In other words, sustainability of research is paramount in doing research.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Dayo. We have another, I guess this is 2 more questions posted in our chat box. We'll just read these 2 last questions, and then after this, siguro move na tayo doon sa next topic. This question, Lola H, is came from Ma'am Victoria Arce from the University of Northern Philippines. The question, Lola, is what are the elements of a gender-responsive research? Elements of gender-responsive research. How can we determine if our research is fully genderized?
Okay. Tulad ng nabanggit ko nga, ito ipopokus ko ulit ha. Kung nasagot na po ninyo ang issue ng inequalities and barriers, sa ating mga pag-aaral, ang gusto po natin ay masagot ang tinatawag na hindi pantay-pantay na access. For example, to economic resources. Sinasagot natin ang usapin ng inequalities at consider din po natin ang ilang mga cultural differences ng mga kababaihan at kalalakihan sa pagresponde. Halimbawa, man lamang kung paano nila tinitingnan ng tubig sa kanilang pananaw, pwede po natin yung tingnan. So the question of whether we can say that our project is is gender sensitive or responsive, dapat po nasasagot natin ang inequalities. Ano yung mga tanong na yon? Nakonsulta po ba ang mga babae at lalaki sa topic na inyong gagawin? Ikalawa, ano ang kanilang pananaw kung sakaling ito ang gagawin ninyo? Will it further marginalize one sector? Or will they be mainstream? Iyan lang po ay ilan sa... Meron po tayong ginagamit na parang tools. These are not just simply doing gender studies. Bukod sa konsultasyon, kinuha ba ninyo ang kanilang pananaw? Tinignan ba ninyo kung ito ay makakaalis ba sila sa unequal gender relations within household or in the community? So, iyon po ay mga checklist na pwede natin gawin upang maisiguro natin that indeed our GRRP is indeed consistent with our goal of gender equity. Yun lamang po.
Okay, thank you so much, Lola H. Last question. This came from Mr. Dr. Marlo Aquino from Mariana Marcos State University, Dr. Dayo. Hi, Dr. Helen. Dr.
Hi.
Marlo from MSU. One of the challenging roles of researchers now is the utilization of different methodologies and methods in GAD and culture-sensitive projects. Based on your experiences, what is your take when dealing with indigenous communities and marginalized groups, particularly those affected by climate change, where roles are multi-phased during implementation? Do you have any suggestion to address this?
Okay, i-share ko lamang yung ginawa kong pag-aaral on coming up with gender indicators in I am actually developing a framework for gender indicators in disaster-prone communities at sana ay ipagpapatuloy namin sa Bicol region. So, ang ginawa namin is to come up with a framework wherein the gender variables, where gender as a unit of analysis is used as understanding where they are coming from. Bakit ganon? Bakit may pagkakaiba nga ba? Bakit nga ba may pagkakaiba ang pananaw ng babae at lalaki in terms of disaster responses? Bakit ang indicators na gagamit ng mga kababaihan ay naiiba sa mga kalalakihan? Our initial results showed that those items related to the more or less stereotypical role of women is very much attached to the indicators used by women. We cannot remove this from there because these are the things that are close to them. One is access to safe grounds. Kung mapapansin ninyo, way back 1990s, 96, nung Ondoy, nakitulong po ako upang mag-identify ano ba yung kinakailangan nating gamitin na isiguro na ang mga kababaihan, matatanda at mga bata ang mabigyan ng prioridad upang sila ay maitawid sa sakuna. Ano ang naging resulta? Nagkaroon po na parang protocol na sila muna ang uunahin. Sila mga matatanda, babae at mga bata. Nakatulong po yon kahit papaano sa isang mga engkwentrong pagkukwentuhan lamang kung paano natin maaayos yon. Second, makikita po natin na sa Bicol na ginawa po namin, sa usapin ng productivity. Rice production po ang naging area namin doon. Lumalabas ng ating mga kababaihan ay food security ang kanilang pangunahin. Hindi, ang sa mga kalalakihan, yung production means. Saan sila kukuha ng pananim, nasira na kanilang palay, nasira na kanilang mais, saan sila kukuha ng pananim. Ang sa mga kababaihan, paano nila maisisiguro na may pagkain sila. So, makikita po natin na may pagkakaiba, pero magkakaugnay po ang ating nakikita. From my own experience and understanding of where they are coming from, nakalink pa rin yun sa kanilang gender relation. So, Marlo, ikaw ba yung dating taga-DA bar? So, yun naman po muna ang aking dadagdag because these are concerns that I think sa disaster risk management. I was invited once by USAID para tingnan din po yung National Action Program nila together with other institutions like DA at DNR. At base doon, ang kakulangan po pala ay yung communication. How do we communicate disasters? How do we prepare them to disasters? So yun po ang nakita namin na isa sa mga kahinaan ng ating action plan na binibigyan ngayon ng pansin dahil komunikasyon ay nagkukulang kung paano magkaroon ng agarang pag-aksyon. So, Mr. Marlo Aquino, maaaring ito ay pangunahing pagsagot lamang sa iyong katanungan at ito ay nakatukoy lamang sa aking karanasan bilang isang researcher din sa disaster risk management at yung aking ginagawang pag-develop, and I think you can proceed with this, developing gender indicators for disaster risk management framework. Salamat po.
Thanks, Helen.
May tanong ako kay Sir Marlo. Siya ba formerly working with DA Bar?
Yes, Helen. Ako yun.
Sir Marlo,
I'm with MMS now.
Okay.
Nasa MMS ka?
Yes.
Nagchitmisan pa tayo dito eh.
Okay. Thank you.
Baka kung ano pa yung masabi natin.
Virtually.
Okay, sige pa. Okay, thank you so much, Lola H, and also Dr. Marlo for that question. Maraming salamat po. Okay, so to award the certificate of our resource speaker, learning resource speaker this afternoon, I would like to request our OIC Chief Education Program Specialists to do the honors. Ma'am Angie.
Ayan, magandang hapon po, Lola Helen. Maraming salamat po.
Angie Dolores, parang kilala ko itong mga ito ah.
Opo, kita-kita tayo palagi sa mga convention. Finally, Lola Helen, na-invite rin namin kayo.
Uy, kayo nga ang palipat-lipat ang schedule eh.
Salamat po, pag-adjust sa schedule.
Maagap si Mel.
Oo nga, Lola Helen. Buti na lang, andyan palagi. And then, at least nag-match din po sa schedule ninyo. Anyway, friends, it has been a very productive afternoon with Dr. Helen Dayo. Join me in reading the Certificate of Appreciation. This Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Dr. Maria Helen F. Dayo for generously sharing her expertise and knowledge as a special speaker for the topic Gender, Pandemic, and Research during the GADDCON 2020 Gender and Development Digital Conference held on December 1, 2020. As a staunch gender and development advocate and partner of the Commission, she has significantly contributed to the institutionalization of God in higher education, With her unrelenting efforts and passion to serve as a woman leader, she has sensitized and mobilized many sectors of society to champion women empowerment and gender equality. Signed, Dr. Rogelio T. Galera Jr., OIC, Office of the Director 4. Again, maraming salamat, Lola Helen. I hope
Salamat din.
hindi lang po ito yung una, masusundan pa ang inyong pagdalo sa amin, hindi na lang virtually, but later siguro pwede na tayo sa face-to-face. Keep safe.
Thank you very much. This is indeed a pleasure to be part of your Gender and Development Digital Conference. And I am really thankful to all of you to be part of this. Sir Marlo, can I get your cell number? He is my friend, you know.
Okay ang meeting ninyo dito pa virtually
Yes, ngayon lang kami nagkita niyan after so many years.
18 years po.
Oh.
Okay.
Ayan.
Okay.
Doon tayo sa chat group.
Oh, nasa chat.
Mag-chat na sa numbers, CP numbers. Bye, Lola Helen. Thank you.
Hi, Angie. Miss ko na kayo.
Yeah. Hope to see you soon in person.
Tapos, by the way, if I may add, we are trying to complete the NER, the gender responsive NERA, para maging basihan yung gender responsive research program. So once we're done and follow the rules for our PSG, then we will be able to. So we'll just listen to the advice of the CHED regarding this matter. So thank you very much for your help and support for the technical panel for gender and women's studies. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye po.
Maraming salamat, Engineer Angie, and also to our learning resource speaker, Dr. Helen Dayo. Maraming salamat, Lola H. Pasensya na po kayo kung medyo natagalan. Actually, nung March pa po namin siya ini-invite, but because of the changes of the schedule, kaya ayan, napunta tayo sa fourth quarter, Lola H.
Oo nga eh.
Anyway, in behalf of our regional director, maraming salamat, Lola H, for accepting our invitation and for always assisting us in our gender and development activities. Maraming salamat po. Okay, so moving on, I guess we are already down to our last speaker. So to introduce to us our beloved president from Mariano Marcos State University.
Yes.
Yes, susunod na po sila to share with us the best GAD extension practices of the Mariano Marcos State University. Ladies and gentlemen, to introduce our speakers, we have here the Education Supervisor for Information and Technology, Dr. Christian Lynette Kassem.
Thank you, Sir Mel. It's a big pleasure for me to introduce our next speaker. Dr. Julia Grupis is the University President of Mariano Marcos State University in Ilocos Norte. An academic achiever, she finished her Bachelor of Science major in Biology, cum laude, at the Mariano Marcos State University, Batak, Ilocos Norte. She graduated Master of Science major in Plant Morphoanatomy and Physiology from the University of the Philippines at Los Baños and Doctor of Philosophy in Agricultural Sciences from the United Graduate School of Agricultural Science, Gifu University, Shizuoka University Campus, Japan. Her dissertation was titled Studies on the Chemical Conversion of Waste Tobacco Stalks and Evaluation of Their Potential Application. Dr. Grupis has participated in advanced research trainings and fellowships, including the prestigious Fulbright Philippines Agriculture Scholarship Program in September 2011 to March 2012, and the USDA Norman Borlaug International Agricultural Science and Technology Fellowship Program in October to December 2009. In both programs, she was hosted by the Kansas State University Bioprocessing and Industrial Value Added Program, Bioprocessing and Fermentation Laboratory in both programs. She was also a short-term visiting researcher at Kobe University and Tohoku University at Japan, visiting foreign researcher at Shizuoka University, Japan, and visiting associate professor at Kyoto University International Innovation Center, Japan. She worked with the Philippine Tobacco Research and Training Center, now National Tobacco Administration, first as research assistant and later on science research specialist. In MMSU, she also held the following positions: Director for External Affairs and Partnerships, Director for Planning and External Affairs, and project leader of various research projects, many of which focus on bioethanol and renewable energy. She published more than 45 research outputs in referred journals and short notable scientific proceedings, and more than 95 citations in Google Scholar. Dynamic activities of the EAP with Dr. Agrupis as director made MMSU a magnet destination of DOST Balik scientists and visiting professors that led the conceptualization of an S&T park in the university. This also led the MMSU's hosting of the 2013 Conference of Philippine American Academy for Science and Engineering, the first to be held outside Metro Manila. She also instituted the capability building of post-faculty researchers and widened student exposure to new knowledge and advanced laboratory techniques through lectures and symposia. Her efforts also helped increase the number of GIA-funded researchers in MMSU, generating funding support from Department of Energy, Department of Science and Technology, USAID Science, Technology, Research and Innovation for Development or STRIDE program, DOST Philippine Council for Industry, Energy and Emerging Technology, Research Development, DOST Philippine Council for Health, Research and Development, and Commission on Higher Education, and among other agencies through joint research projects and assistance from visiting scientists and professors. Her notable awards include Lawag City's 55 Inspiring Heroes, Rays of Sunshine in the Time of Pandemic, Outstanding Ilocano for 2020, Gantimpala Agad Award given by Civil Service Commission Region 1, 2019 William D. Darry Research Leadership Award given by the Philippine Association of Research Managers, AFMA Best Research and Development Paper Gold Award for 2016, 2017, 2010, and 2002, given by Department of Agriculture. And first place to 2018 William Medrano Best RDE Management Paper Award, given by Philippine Association of Research Managers. Let us all welcome Dr. Shirley Agrupis.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Lynette. I hope I am clear. Naririnig niyo po ba ako before I start?
Yes po, ma'am. Loud and clear po.
Thank you very much. I do not know kung masaya ako hindi, pero mas mahaba yata yung introduction ko kaysa yung aking sasabihin. Anyway, thank you, Lynette. Pinapagalitan ko na yung aking EA kung saan niya kinuha yung biodata ko. Parang yung paper ko nung nag-apply ako ng president sa MMSU.
Hi, Doc Shirley.
Hi, ma'am.
Nagkita tayo after USAID.
Yes, yeah, before I proceed, let me greet the big people whom I shared rostrum with this very important digital conference for 2020. I would like to greet Dr. Caroline S. Sobrichea, the chairperson of CHED Technical Panel on Women's and Gender Studies. I would like also to greet Ma'am Maria Helen F. Dayo. How I wish I can call you Lola.
Lola, sure. Lola.
Yes, she's Helen. But I was so alarmed when you called Marlo Aquino as your friend. Before you get his number, you have to pass through me. From DA Bar. Of course, to the Regional Director, Dr. Rogelio T. Galera, Engineer Angelica Q. Dolores of CHED Region 1, the host moderator for this very important digital conference, Dr. Melquiades Ancheta. And I would like also to acknowledge the two important persons with me here who serve as my major references on what I am going to say today. Miss Nathalie Saliapitan, our focal person for gender mainstreaming monitoring system, and of course, Dr. Marlo Aquino, who is the Director of External Linkages, International Section, and with special designation as a special assistant to the President. So thank you very much. Thank you, Region 1, for picking Mariano Marcos State University as SUC to present the best practices during the outbreak of COVID-19 pandemic. Let me set the tone of my presentation by tracing the root of our GAD extension project amidst the COVID-19 pandemic, starting from the CHED Memorandum Order Number 1 Series of 2015, establishing guidelines, policies, and gender and development in higher education. In compliance to this, MMSU's policies and practices adhere to its provision, which is focused on gender equality, which means to us removing all obstacles to men's and women's active participation in all spheres of public and private life through a full and equal share of economic, social, cultural, and political decision making at home, in the workplace, and in wider national and international communities. That's why I feel myself fortunate kasi nahabol ko yung presentation ni Sis Helen kanina and gave me a wider perspective on how to direct our R&D direction in GAD. Equality is a matter of human rights and a condition for social justice. And as an institution devoted to the development of virtuous individual, we are committed to doing our share in this noble endeavor. At the same time, we are also working toward gender equality. In our university, we recognize the individual rights and equality of human beings, employees and students, regardless of gender and identity and expression, and uphold their right to enjoy equal opportunities and conditions in order to realize their full human potential. Hence, we mainstream gender equality in the core function of the university, as well as in governance and administration, as you can see in the framework. We have institutionalized this through the creation of Gender and Development Focal Point System under my leadership to make sure that in all aspects, we make men and women's concerns and experiences an integral dimension of the design and implementation of our policies, program, and activities. The MMSU GAD program is presented in Figure 1. Medyo magulo, gawayan ni Dr. Marlo, Ma'am Helen, but this is to capture or show the operational and development framework from which spring our COVID-19 extension program. This is the framework with the influencing factors towards a university community. It focuses on the fourfold functions of an academic institutions: instruction, research, extension, and business. Through our vision, mission, goal, and objectives, our desire to become a premier Philippine university by 2028, crafted the strategic institutional development coined as Achieve, highlighting gender and cultural sensitivity. The MMSU Achieve is the 7-point agenda, as you can see in the 7 letters of Achieve, translated into innovative transformation and strategic reform in the university, particularly its stakeholders, clientele, and partners. In the process, everyone who is involved is trained to be God-sensitive, especially during the planning, implementation, including monitoring and evaluation process. That's why we have Ms. Nata here. In the case of management, We take pride in the coordinated and evaluation processes, coordination and operation of work, because being gender and cultural sensitive, we are guided in our management from the colleges, implementing units, and the university as a whole. As a result, our outputs and desired outcomes are all sync with the policies, places of support, effective and efficient utilization of resources, addressing the needs of our clientele and fostering linkages, establishing networks and sustaining partnership through our GAD agenda, plans, programs, projects, and activities. In so doing, we are empowering everyone to work harmoniously and collaboratively for the good of everyone, best for the university, service to humanity, and glory to God. The framework serves as the basis for empowering of people and communities involved in the development of the self and practicing the principles of efficiency, equality, productivity, profitability, and sustainability. And this is captured in our statement of MMSU GAD objectives: to create, establish, and sustain a holistic, comprehensive, unified, synergized, and balanced platform in instruction, research, extension, and business to our stakeholders and clientele. It caters, as you can see on the slide, it caters to all stakeholders and clientele of the university, starting from the students, personnel, which include faculty members and non-teaching staff, community, including civil society, interest groups, indigenous and marginalized individuals, and also partners, both local, including local, regional, national, and international partners. Our GAD working philosophy is rooted in the primacy of the human person in all development endeavors. Higit sa lahat, tao para sa tapat, sapat, pantay, at tunay na serbisyo. This is our service creed, a promise to provide honest, adequate, equal, and equitable service. This philosophy is articulated in our GAD research agenda, which you can see in this screen, include the precision agriculture and climate change, plant genetic resources and nutraceutical, organic agriculture, product development, environmental technologies and natural resource management, renewable bioenergy, my favorite research agenda, gender and development, social sciences, humanities, education, health, economics, and business, and translated into our appropriate extension project. As you can see, we have listed some of our extension projects: the educational, social science, humanities and arts, natural sciences, health, agriculture and fisheries, forestry, natural resources and environment, business, engineering and industry, law and governance, interdisciplinary science. From this extension program springs our unique and responsive program during the pandemic. This philosophy permeates all our operations, but are most evident in our research for development agenda and programs across disciplines. MMSU uphold our GAD statement of establishing equal opportunity for all. With this, we constantly take note, Ma'am Helen, of the sex distribution data in our programs in the hope of achieving balance and equity. Our data on the screen is showing us the gender distribution of faculty and the full-time. The female faculty researchers, female 51, male 49, and for the full-time researchers, 58 and 42. I do not know, I'm not a statistician, but maybe if you subject that into statistical analysis, the relationship may be insignificant. Likewise, in the table, we show here the distribution of project leaders by research agenda cluster. Now, I am showing this because this is a part of my presentation during the MMSU, during the 5th Higher Education Summit on Gender Issues, when they, the organizers, again asked me to present experience in research and publication in research to GAD. Kaya nung tinanong ni Director Galera or in-invite nila akong maging speaker dito, bakit kaya palaging MMSU ang fino-focus? May kasalanan ba? Meron bang inequality na nakikita nila sa mga research namin na sinasubmit for funding in CHED, DA, and other funding institutions? But more than that, we are very happy and take pride because we are always requested to present the best practices we can to everybody, whatever purpose this may serve to everyone. So let me show you this gender analysis also of MMSU officials from 1985 to 2017. Sabi ko, meron bang pagkakaiba some decades ago sa designation ng MMSU officials? The screen will show you na balance. Kahit before, I learned from NASA that the GADD law was, the CMO was released in 2015, but even before 2015, you can see on the screen a balanced distribution of male and female MMSU officials. Moving on, the same din ang trend. Can you go to the summary? The same pa rin siya. And then in the summary from 1985 to 2017, yung males 477, females 408. Maybe because the slight differences are about 14, about 19 or 20. The difference between the females and the 69 difference may be justified for the reason that MMSU is basically an agricultural and engineering university. So maybe there are more males applying for some hard work in the field and so on. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that is my non-GAD expert interpretation. Moving forward, when the pandemic struck, we immediately drew upon our programs and resources to respond to the needs of the communities and our clientele by evaluating the conditions of students, faculty members, and academic programs, research, extension, and business projects. And I'm so happy to inform you that maybe we are one of the first state university who responded to this because of our established learning management system. It was very easy for us to reach out our students, faculty through online. Unfortunately, for those with intermittent internet connectivity, but they only represent about 5 to 10% of the total MMSU population. So this data gave us a database direction on how to address the challenges in amidst the COVID-19. So we mobilized colleges and implementing units to evaluate the situation and condition of students. We coordinate with partner institutions for technical, health, and operational support and implement strategic actions and monitor the operation from the ground up while maintaining a command post for overall coordination and management. As higher education institution, I believe that we should be a bastion of database decision making. That's why we first conducted this activity before we recalibrate our extension programs. So in so doing, we try to come up with a GAD COVID-19 response framework, responding now to the situation based on the data that we gathered through online, the survey that we conducted. We needed to direct our actions to sustain our viability as center of learning, cradle of innovation and seat of transformative extension program. So we directed our action to responsive and innovative program. There were two big COVID responsive program that we launched: the Saranay project against COVID-19 and the IT-enabled collaborative, resilient, and sustainable partnership. Under the Saranay project against COVID-19, our target is both the students, the students, the faculty and staff, if you can see the arrow, and the communities. The Saranay, if you follow the arrow towards the science-based support services, which I will show later on, we make science work for the people. We collected all the mature technologies, like for example, the production of bioethanol and others, to use it to reach out to our community. One significant science-based support services that we contributed to the pandemic is the production of a voluminous supply, bulk production of bioethanol, which we inclusively produce in the university. Going to the other side of the arrow, the teaching learning process, we strengthened our MMSU virtual learning experience. I have to highlight that as early as 2013, MMSU has been implementing the virtual learning management environment, but it is just an additional modality to face-to-face. So pwedeng gamitin ng ibang faculty, pwedeng hindi. In fact, the data is showing us that of the more than 500 faculty before, there were only less than 100 that were using. But with the outbreak of pandemic, COVID-19 of the pandemic, I made it a point, young and old, all faculty should be trained in the virtual learning environment so that they will become even responsive to the educational needs of our students and our faculty and staff. And we were successful today. Faculty and students are enjoying the benefits of virtual learning environment. This virtual learning environment is the in-house developed learning management system by our IT expert in the university. In fact, this is one of our IT programs that was funded by CHED to reach out or to train our fellow SUCs in Region 1 and private HEIs in Ilocos Norte. The program already started. Now, going back to the IT-enabled, one of the important program during the pandemic is that as a budding international university, we cannot let unseen enemies stop us from our collaborative and partnership with international and national institutions. So with an established IT system, we continue to conduct meetings, signing of MOA, even virtual. And we also use the IT-enabled system that we developed in the university to reach out our communities, like continuous lecture and seminars on how to face the pandemic. There are lots of activities under this Saranay project and IT-enabled program of the university. Now, let me now show you some of the documentations where we apply this framework. Let me start with the production, the Saranay against COVID-19. As I mentioned earlier, the production of ethanol is our propriety, is our banner program, R&D program in the university, as we claim to be one of the leading universities in bioenergy research. We developed the proprietary technology of producing 95% ethanol purposely for biofuel. We already deployed the technology to communities, and 7 state university, SUC partner, including the Pangasinan State University, Central Luzon State University, Cagayan State University, Antique University, Marinduque State University, Western Palawan University, and there is one more, 7, and they were all capacitated to produce the ethanol that we deployed to them. I am so very happy that even during the pandemic, we sustained that mentoring and was so happy that even the community that we served, that received the technology, participated in the production of ethanol, including CLSU and PSU. And why Nipahol? Because there are two major sugar feedstock that we use. The Nipa sap is robustly growing elsewhere, so we call it Nipahol. And then we also partner with LGU to provide us the molasses, Ilocos molasses. So we call the other alcohol as Ilocohol. Here we strengthen our partnership with LGU. They provide us the molasses, we ferment them, and we return them back in a form of ethanol. So we reach out, LGUs in Region 1, Region 2, and CAR, as requested by Senator Amy Marcos before. We need to provide ethanol to COVID-19 identified hospital in Region 1, 2, and CAR, including the Philippine General Hospital. We sent out about 200 or more liters of ethanol during the outbreak because walang mabiling alcohol noon. We also sent the regional government offices in Region 1 in San Fernando, and then banks, churches, all MMSU community. Until now, we are still supplying ethanol to our MMSU community, checkpoints in the city of Batak and in Lawag City and the borders in Ilocos Norte. Now, we did not only limit this is one showcase of how science work for the people. The non-research base include the food ration to food frontliners, and then the food box, of course, our signature Lunganisa is in there. That is a product of research. And then the Opwan Sour, the student affairs and services traces all students, stranded students in anywhere in Ilocos Norte, and we reach them out by giving them relief goods, medicines, and other gadgets for internet connectivity. We also distributed the personal protective equipment, medical services, accommodation to our DOH regional RINTM. These are all GAD-related programs. We provided transportation. Counseling and advisory are very important part of our Saranay program. And through the IT-enabled programs, we distribute the webinar and e-salon we conduct our medical doctors, professors in the College of Medicine, conducted the e-salon spearheaded by our health University Health Center. Slide. Donation drive, we just want to show you that you see, you count the ladies there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and there are pitong men. So we really had the donation drive for this so that we can reach more students who were stranded in their respective boarding houses and dormitories. Next slide. Other initiatives under the Saranay program is spearheaded by the Research and Extension Program. We launched the plant at MMSU, Kamote Plantation, and including those in our university village, we offered them land, a portion of land for them to plant, so that if worst comes to worst, we can assure of food security within the village. Now, there is also a science-based emergency assistance in response to COVID-19 crisis in Ilocos Norte. What is this? Our savings in our Fund 184, like from Picard, from the UST, we requested the funding agency to convert that into COVID-19 crisis assistance, and it was approved, so we were able to extend our help to our clienteles in the different LGUs in Ilocos Norte. These are just some programs, part of the Soranay program. It is a non-science based, but this is just showing you that these are all GAD-related program during the COVID-19. We have the Project Wi-Fi. We distributed Project Wi-Fi faculty, telecommunications company flow in so many Wi-Fi in order for us to reach out our students. And we offered Oplan Salinong, we offer free accommodation for graduating students para lang makatawid po sila. And then Oplan Parubuat, yung mga na-strand na estudyante. Parubuat in Ilocano, in English is sending off. Salinong in English is shelter. So lahat-lahat yan. Saranay in English is what's that? Take care, help. Yeah. And then next slide. So we also have launched the synergistic GAD responsive and resilient strategies and practices. As I've said, as a higher education institution mandated to implement meet or implement instruction, research, and extension, the Extension Directorate never stopped capacitating, empowering our community. So they launched the trainings under the new normal or environment for learning. And this is our major one of the other COVID-19 program, that is the IT-enabled program. So the activity was implemented to help the faculty and members and personnel to adapt to the new normal environment. This is a training for extension workers in the university. How are we going to reach our clientele in the community? So they were taught how to use our IT system, and this is a very useful training because even without or with limited face-to-face, ay nakokontak pa rin namin yung aming clientele. Now, this is another science-based emergency assistant. This is also the one I told you that we requested the funding agency. Yung laman, we distributed seeds to our farmer cooperators in the Picard funded project. We gave them rice. The seeds that we gave, most of them are those seeds that were generated from our research and production center. Now, MMSU Cares, we also strengthen our MMSU Cares project. This MMSU Cares is a contiguous 27 hectares land in the university, where we emphasize the modern farming technology and dream to make this contiguous farmland into a model farm, applying all the smart technologies. And this is a collaborative project between the Department of Agriculture, Region 1, and Ilocos Norte, the provincial government of Ilocos Norte, and PhilRice. So we are establishing this 27-hectare land. We call it MMSU Cares, catering 87 farmers composed of men and women. And the Cares had a different meaning: coordinated agribusiness research and extension strategies on technology promotion and utilization. So even during the pandemic, we implementing the IAT of social distancing, we still managed to meet them because life must go on. And we also launched the collaborative beds gardening, COVEDS, the vegetable dispersal project for MMSU employees and students, while we extend our help in the immediate community that we serve. Our university took note that we also have our own community to feed. So we grow, again, this is an output of research. We grow seedlings and distribute to the employees and students and grow them in the backyard. And many are reporting that ang dami ng because it's already 8 months, so they are now harvesting their vegetables. And I hope that we will be, because of the surge of COVID-19 cases in Ilocos Norte, we are hoping to have the third phase of this COVID's vegetable dispersal project. We did not stop distributing information, education, and communication materials to LGU in Ilocos Norte. And we continue to give them in order to sustain their interest in special field. So we pick up our partners in their point of the region only to give them lectures and give them IEC goodies for them to read and practice in their own respective localities. We did not stop even during the pandemic. We need to continue our on-campus and off-campus projects only to show that technologies need, and only to show the right farming to our clienteles. We still manage to have the field visits. So you can see the robustly growing rice fields off campus and on campus. On the first slide, Dr. Marley ipakita mo man, that is facing our huge administration building. Before you enter, you pass by this robust rice field, and in the same place we next slide. Yeah, now we annually demonstrate the rice paddy art. This is a partnership with PhilRice. This is also a agriculture cum art extension program being implemented by MMSU and PhilRice. Why we are doing this? It is to showcase the rice varieties developed by PhilRice and its partner international research institution, and we invited students, men and women, young and men and women, to participate in the project only to strengthen their love for agriculture. The IT-NABL collaborative, we continue airing the radio program, the MMSU Rimati Lokanja. We continue to do orientation meeting because every year we graduate about more than 100 from different farmers in the 23 LGUs of Ilocos Norte. Madami po kaming pinapagraduate dito, and they always come to us, thank you. And during the pandemic, we continue to orient them, yung mga bagong enrollees, and they are very thankful. I hope na i-graduate namin sila before the year ends. So you can see that there is a physical distancing during the orientation. Next slide. That's na. As I've said, the IT-enabled program during the COVID-19 did not enabled us to continue staging or continue sustaining our partnership with our international partners. The English Language Fellow Webinar Series, we proceeded on this. This is sponsored by the U.S. Embassy, Chad, and they gave us a fellow to strengthen our English or upgrade our English proficiency. And this did not only benefit our MMSU student, but all other SUs who were given the invitation. And then the mental health problems and social media exposure during COVID-19 pandemic, and so many more. What is very significant is the webinar series with the Canadian partner, with the webinar series being implemented by the Association of State University and Colleges in Solid North, composing of SUCs from Region 1, 2, and CAR. So we maintain our linkages, our banding by jointly sponsoring a webinar series for us to get updated of the things that is happening around us. Uses of media outlets or information, well, this is just documenting what we have done. Next slide. This is very important. This is the most significant research-based gender-sensitive output of MMSU during the pandemic, because through this, we were able to address challenges in the new normal. The MMSU virtual learning environment, as I've introduced earlier, this is a result of our IT researches, and it worked during the pandemic. So this is one of the training sessions of our faculty. Next slide. And in order to reach out, this is another important program we launched during the pandemic to establish an MMSU LGU telecommunication convergence for virtual learning. Why is this? Because the students in sa liblib ng mga lugar in Ilocos Norte, there are 23 LGU in Ilocos Norte, as you can see here. Now, most of them, we wanted to reach out because of the provisions in IETF na yung 21 years old and below, hindi makakalabas. So, hindi pwedeng, hindi sila makapag-aral. Show must move on. So, we partnered with the local government unit and the telecommunication companies for the LGU to provide infrastructure doon sa kabilang Marlo, sa may triangle, no, sa triangle. Yeah, the LGU to provide the infrastructure or learning space in their municipal hall, the MMSU to provide the flexible learning environment, and the telecommunication company to provide internet connectivity to benefit the students. And we are very thankful that through the initiative of the mayors and the Office of Student Affairs, we were able to sign partnership memorandum of agreement with LGU, and now our students from the respective places are enjoying this partnership. Well, as an offshoot of this research-based virtual learning environment of our university, CHED or help us disseminate this by giving us a generous funding. That's why we are now undergoing an online mentoring using our MBLE. This includes our faculty from the state university and colleges in Region 1 and other high private HCI in Ilocos Norte. So sustaining operation to address these challenges, so we intensify the utilization of MMSU virtual environment learning platform for students, conduct responsive research and innovative technologies. These are all part of our GAD R&D agenda. Empower people and engage communities toward resiliency, sustain development programs amidst climate change, continuous support for internationalization program for faculty, staff, and students, and maintain local and international linkages, networks, and partnership. These were all drawn from our R&D agenda. Moving forward, we will continue to implement the CHED-funded project, production of ethyl alcohol, using MMSU's proprietary fermentation and distillation protocols, and production of face masks and laboratory gowns to combat COVID-19. So as a higher education institution, we will continue to work as one, to heal as one, to ensure more responsive and resilient community towards healthier and safer environment. So one heart, one work, one university, one life, one health, and one empowered community for everyone anchored on the principle of gender and development. So, Gyaman kami unaya po. Thank you very much. I hope I did not took too much of your time. Sabi kasi ni Marlo, 1.5 hours. So, nagkandahirap akong gumawa ng slide to stretch the presentation. So, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Madam President. Thank you so much for sharing to us your best GAD extension activities in serving the communities and also for utilizing the product of your research in serving our communities during this COVID-19 pandemic. Maraming salamat po, Madam President. Truly a marvelous leadership that you exemplify, and your school is really a model university in the region. Hence, you are awarded with 3 stars by the QS World University Rankings. Congratulations for that, ma'am. Okay, so I am now opening the floor for the open forum for any clarifications and questions to our president, to our Zoom participants, and also to our FB participants and YouTube participants. If you do have some questions, you can open your microphone or your video, or perhaps you can type or key in your questions in the chat box. Okay, so ayan, marami pong pasasalamat dito sa ating chat box from Dimsu, from Ma'am Perla Sotelo. Thank you to our President of MMSU. Thank you also, sabi po ni Ma'am Elisa Hinyola. Maraming salamat po for joining us. Okay, so any question from our participants? May mga katanungan po ba tayo? Na-overwhelm po ata tayo lahat, sa mga kagimbal-gimbal, kagulat-gulat na mga extension activities ng Mariano Marcos State University. Okay, so questions? Tahimik po ata ang ating Zoom ngayon. Parang walang magtanong, walang gustong magtanong. Anyone? Check ko lang po yung ating FB page kung may nag-post po doon sa live streaming natin. Madam President, we would like to inform you po that Dr. Galera will not be able to join us in this virtual conference kasi po kanina po ongoing yung meeting niya with your academic council, and then ngayon po parang nag-open na po ata yung board meeting nila with the Don Mariano Marcos State University po. Okay, so FB page sa FB, meron ba kayang tanong? Elvin, meron ba tayong tanong sa FB? Oh, parang wala. Parang wala. Sa Zoom account, meron po bang magtatanong? Anyone from the local government unit? You are also open. Baka gusto niyo pong humingi ng tulong kay Madam President. May mga participants po tayo dito from the local government units. Okay, ano po kaya? Nagpapasalamat po si Ma'am Lolita Loy from Barangay Pugo, Bautista, Pangasinan. Madam President, maraming salamat po. From that is also from Maria Helen Dayo. Anyone? And also, maraming salamat also Dr. Marla Aquino for joining us and for assisting our President to this particular virtual conference. Maraming salamat po. And to the whole family po. And also Subam Nata for assisting our presidents. Maraming salamat po sa ating MMSU family for joining us to this virtual conference. So I guess there's no more questions. Klaro naman po. Klaro naman po yung presentations ni Ma'am. Well presented. Congratulations, Madam President, and to your team. Maraming salamat po. So I guess we are now ready to award the e-certificate of appreciation to our speaker, our last speaker this afternoon. I would like to request our OIC Chief Education Program Specialist to do the honors. Ma'am?
Good afternoon. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to read the text for our Certificate of Appreciation to Dr. Shirley C. Agrupis. Certificate of Appreciation is awarded to Dr. Shirley C. Agrupis for generously sharing her expertise and knowledge as special speaker for the topic sharing of MMSU's best GAD extension activities during the pandemic, during the GADDCON 2020 or Gender and Development Digital Conference held on December 1, 2020. Through her competent leadership, the achievements of MMSU in creating a culture of gender inclusivity have inspired other HEIs in the region to engage in advocacies that promote gender equality and development and implement programs to advance the life, dignity, and rights of women, especially in the area of higher education. Signed, Dr. Rogelio T. Galera Jr., Officer in Charge, Office of the Director for. Again, marami pong salamat, Dr. Shirley C. Agrupis, for your time and for your sharing. Congratulations po sa accomplishments ninyo for your very good GAD program. Thank you. Thank you also po kay Ma'am Nats, your GAD focal person.
Yes, and also to Dr. Marlo Aquino.
Yes, Dr. Marlo also. Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you, MMSU, headed of course by President Shirley Agrupis. Maraming salamat po, ma'am. Yes, parang may sinasabi si ma'am. Ma'am, any final word to all our participants?
Ma'am, nakamute si Ma'am President.
Yeah, we would like to have a group picture with Marlo and Nata on my side. Kasi sila sana mag-represent, but I was able to move my talk with DTI this morning. So, they are ready. You see, Dr. Marlo, we have the same shade. Yan.
Okay. Sige po. Picture taking po tayo. So may I request all our participants in the Zoom to kindly open your videos para po makapag picture taking po tayo together with our afternoon speakers, together with Dr. Dayo and also President Shirley Agrupis and her team. Okay?
Helen, nandito na si Jamarlo.
Ayan. Talagang awake na awake pala tayo lahat. Kahit hindi naka-open yung mga videos ninyo, andyan pa rin po pala kayo. Okay, so first slide or first page po ng ating Zoom. Smile lang po kayo. Smile po tayo lahat. 1, 2, 3. Okay, lipat ko lang po yung mga pictures natin sa group chat po ng ating mga school heads. Wait lang po. Okay. Ayan. Next page. Smile lang po kayo. Baka nasa next page na po kayo. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay. Ilipat ko lang po. Okay. Third page po tayo. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay. Parang na-maintain po ata natin yung numbers, no? Okay. Last page po tayo. 1, 2, 3. Smile. Okay. So, ayun po. Ayan. So, yun po yung ating documentation. Na-send ko na po sa GC po ng ating mga school heads, yung pictures natin. So, maraming salamat sa ating mga speakers, to Dr. Sobrechea, Dr. Dayo, and also Dr. Agrupis. Maraming salamat po for sharing your expertise on how you incorporate gender and development in the trilogical functions of higher education institutions, and for educating our GAD-focused, GAD coordinators and school administrators about gender concepts and how to mainstream gender and development in their trilogical functions. So, okay, so that's the end part po ng ating Day 1 ng Gender and Development Digital Conference 2020. Bukas, meron pa po tayo. That would be our laws. We will be discussing different laws and also self-defense tactics. Okay? So, yun po yung topic natin tomorrow. Okay, so time check, it's 4:11 in the afternoon. I guess may oras pa po ata tayo to do the fun games that we've prepared. Are you ready? Are we all ready? Gusto nyo pa ba?
Ready po.
Thumbs up naman dyan kung gusto nyo po ng mga fun games natin. In-increase po namin yung mga papremyo. Okay? Ayan. So, tandaan kapag natawag po yung mga pangalan ninyo at wala po kayo sa Zoom, that means, okay, mafo-forfeit po yung chance ninyo para manalo. Okay? Okay, so balikan ko lang si Dr. Rowena de Guzman. Nandito po ba siya? Dr. de Guzman, at the count of 10. Okay, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm so sorry, Dr. De Guzman. Tatanggalin ko po yung pangalan. Okay, select po tayo ng bagong mananalo. Maglalaro. We have here Miss Dangle. Parang na-awardan nata ito last week. Tama? Yes, oo. Tama daw. Okay, Elvin, assist mo ako kung sino yung mga nabigyan mo ng mga loads last week para hindi na natin sila i-include. Next, we have Adonis Kagiwa. Sir Adonis, nandito po ba kayo? Say winner kung nandito po kayo, sir. Okay, 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sir Adonis, last call. Okay, wala po ata. Next. Next, we have Sir Bonifacio Magno. Sir Boni, andito po ba kayo? 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. Maraming salamat for joining sa ating Gender and Development Digital Conference 2020. Okay. Andito po ba si Miss Kate Nasen Bingayen? Bingayen tayo, Dagiti Ayuda. Kate Nasen Bingayen, nandito po ba kayo, madam? Say winner kung nandito po kayo. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ay nako, parang bumibilis ata ang pagbilang. Okay, next. Select po tayo. Next winner, parang wala na po ata yung... Okay, so Ma'am Carol Dumingsil, nandito po ba kayo, madam? Wala din. Elvin, alam mo, may listahan ka ba kung sino yung mga nasa Zoom? Para sila na lang yung i-raffle natin. Wala. Ay, so Ma'am Carol, nandito po ba kayo? Wala din. Kung nandito po kayo, please paki-key-in na lang sa chat box natin. Si Dr. Juan. Dr. Juan, nandito po ba kayo, ma'am? 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ang bilis. Okay, maraming salamat. Parang palaging lumalabas ang mga tiga-BMUF. Next, we have Nelson Lacadin. Sir Nelson, Say winner kung nandito po kayo, sir. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2. Sana yung mga nasa Zoom na lang, no? Yung mga ano natin.
Sana nga, sir. Dapat yung mga naka-offline pa.
Oo. Naka-off na ata sila lahat eh. Ma'am Hanilyn Gamas, nandito po ba kayo? Hanilyn. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, may nag-chat. Tama yan. Yung dapat nasa Zoom nga.
Yes, sir. Dapat yung kami lang na nasa Zoom.
Sige, ganito na lang. Palitan ko yung listahan. Pakilagay po yung pangalan ninyo sa my chat box. Okay, ganun na lang. Para palitan ko yung listahan ko dito sa my electronic name selector ko. Okay, hindi na yung nasa Google. Bilisan ha. Okay. Bibigyan ko kayo ng 5 minutes para ilagay yung mga pangalan ninyo sa chat box habang binubura ko yung listahan dito sa ating selector. Okay. Handa na pa kayo? Pwede na bang kopyahin yung mga pangalan ninyo? Okay, wait lang po ng konti. May 36 na. Ay wow, wagas. Bahala ka na dyan, Elvin. Saan na ba? Okay, saan na tayo? Ito. Control, copy. And then, okay. Okay na? May 6 messages na humabol. Sadali. Okay. Okay. Game na tayo. 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last 2 from MMSU at from UCC. Okay. Game. Share. Eto, yung listahan natin. Okay, so ready. Select. Nagsusulat pala ako. Ma'am Madeline Estrada, say winner. Nandito po kayo. 5 seconds, Ma'am Madeline Estrada.
Hello po, present po.
Ayan. Ma'am, tiga saan po kayo? What school?
DCCP po, sir.
Saan, ma'am?
DCCP, Data Center College of Dalaw. Data Center College.
DCCP. Okay, sige po. DCCP Lawag. Okay. Ma'am, ano pong gusto ninyong laro? Choose the lucky pot. Meron po tayong fill in the box. Meron po tayong saktuhan or meron po tayong Miss Universe. Anong game po ang gusto ninyo, ma'am?
Pardon again, sir?
Anong gusto ninyong laro, ma'am? Choose the lucky pot. Meron po tayong saktuhan. Meron din po tayong fill in the box. At saka meron po tayong larong Miss Universe. Ano pong gusto ninyong laruin?
You can choose the lucky pot for me, sir.
Choose the lucky pot na lang po. Okay, sige po. Okay, nandito po ang aking mga lucky pots. Nagbabalik po ang aking mga lucky pots. Okay, may marka po iyan na CHED. Ma'am, anong pot po ang gusto po ninyo? Is it C, H, E, or D po?
E, sir.
Again, ma'am?
Echo.
Echo. Okay, ito po ang yung napiling paso. Ang laman ng inyong paso ay... Ma'am, pakibasa. Oops, di ko makita.
Hindi ko po mabasa.
Ano to?
No, wala po.
Ito.
Okay, it's 200 pesos po.
Very good. Okay, so may 200 pesos po kayo, madam. Ma'am, antayin niyo lang po ang tawag ni Kuya Will. Antayin niyo lang po ang pa-load ng aming opisina, no? Okay, pakiantay lang po. Ma'am, nag-register po kayo, no?
Yes po, sir.
Yes, okay. So yung number po na register po ninyo, yun po yung bibigyan namin ng load. Congratulations, Ma'am Madeline Estrada from Data Center College of the Philippines, Lawag. Maraming salamat po for joining. Sana mag-join din po kayo tomorrow, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Thank you po.
Okay, maraming salamat. Next. Next, we have Ma'am May Oralio. May Oralio, 10 seconds. Kung nandito po kayo, ma'am, say winner.
Yes
10
po,
seconds,
winner.
10. Ay, ang bilis ni ma'am. Ma'am, from what school?
From Sikusot Colleges, sir.
Very good. Okay, thank you so much for joining us, ma'am, ha? Sana mag-join po ulit kayo tomorrow. Tama po?
Yes po, sir. Always.
Okay, sige po. Andito po ang aking mga lucky pots. Okay, so iaano ko lang. I-shuffle ko lang yung laman ng mga paso. Okay, so ma'am, anong paso ang gusto po ninyo? Is it C, H, E, or D?
Bali, letter C, sir. Charlie.
Charlie. Okay, very good. Okay, sabi ko muna itong. Okay, so ang laman ng yung paso, ito po ay
Okay, sir. 100 peso load.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Salamat. Thank you so much din po for joining. Ma'am, balik po kayo tomorrow, ha? May pag-games po ulit tayo.
Yes po, sir.
Okay. Next winner. Andrea Collado. Ma'am Andrea, nandito po ba kayo? Say winner kung nandito po kayo, madam. Madam, 10 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. Doc Mel, ano ba? Meron ba, Elvin? Hi, Sir Winner. Not working po ang microphone ko. Okay, sige, Ma'am Andrea. What school po kayo, Ma'am Andrea Collado? Okay, Doc Mel, nakaregister na ako kanina. Yes, Sir Louis Hernandez. Sir LB, nakaregister na daw si Sir Louis from OSIAS Educational Foundation. Yung utang natin sa kanya last week. Ma'am Andrea, Lorma, tinawanan kami. Utang namin kasi hinahanap namin yung pangalan niyo, sir, hindi namin mahanap dun sa listahan. Okay lang ba? Yes po. Maraming salamat po. Okay, Ma'am Andrea, meron po kaming 4 pots dito. Ano pong pots ang gusto po ninyo? From Lorma, Ma'am Andrea. Nasaan na yung chat box po? Okay, hanapin ko. Ang gusto niya ay D po. Okay, D. Okay. Pinakadulo. Ang laman ng iyong paso ay 150 pesos. Okay. Congratulations, Ma'am Andrea. Antayin niyo lang po ang pa-load ng aming donor. Okay. Next. Okay. Maraming salamat for joining to our Gender and Development Digital Conference. Okay. Next, we have also, next winner po natin, Sir Gilbert Saliot. Okay, Sir Gilbert, say winner kung nandito po kayo. Very good. Sir, kumusta po kayo dyan?
Okay naman po, sir.
Okay lang po kayo. Okay. Sir, anong paso ang gusto po ninyo?
Delta, sir. D.
Ha?
Delta.
Sandali po. Ihalo ko daw muna. So that... Ay, sir, nanalo daw po ata kayo last time. Sir?
Ayun, sir.
Sir, nanalo daw kayo last time, last week.
Yes, sir. Sa
Ay, nanalo na pala kayo, sir. Eh, pasensya na. Minsanan lang po tayo pwedeng manalo. Sir, hi, ano ko nila. Next time po ulit.
yes, sir. Okay lang po, sir.
Okay, maraming salamat. Okay, next. Next, ito palagi nabubunot ito. Nanalo na din ito, si Ma'am De Vera.
Hindi po.
Ano ba?
Hindi ko po nakuha kasi nasa isang important
oo nga pala, yung may meeting si Madam nung nabunot.
Other meeting.
Oo. Parang kaibigan mo ata itong application na ginagamit natin. Palaging lumalabas yung pangalan mo. Ma'am Mildred, anong paso ang gusto mo?
Yan po, letter E.
C, H, E, or D?
H.
H.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ang laman ng H ay... Ilan po?
Hindi ko makita, sir.
200 pesos.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Welcome po, ma'am. Ma'am, sali po kayo ulit bukas. Meron po tayo ulit pa games.
Yes, sir.
Yes po. Maraming salamat. Next. Walang winners kayong mabubunot ngayon. Ma'am Lolita Loy, nandito po ba kayo? Say winner kung nandito po kayo, ma'am. Ma'am Loy? Oy, nawala si Ma'am Loy. Ma'am Loy, 10 seconds. 10, 9, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, Ma'am Loy. Okay, next winner. Bilisan natin. Ma'am Elisa Hinyola, say winner. Nandito po kayo, madam. 5 seconds. Ma'am Elisa, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ay, naku, nawala si madam. Ay,
hello.
Ayun. Sino to? Ay, si Ma'am Lolita. Ma'am Lolita Loy, tiga saan po kayo? What school po kayo, madam?
Barangay Pugong, sir.
Okay.
Pugong Bautista.
Barangay Bautista. Ay, Bautista. Ma'am. Ma'am Elisa, pa-register po kami. Ay, Ma'am Lolita, pa-register po kami, ma'am, ha, doon sa link natin kasi wala kang number. Wala kaming number sa inyo po. Okay po? Kung saan po kayo mag-register, eto ma'am, ita-type ko po yung registration natin para doon po kayo, doon nyo po ipasok yung number po ninyo, 18-day campaign. Para doon po para yun po yung number na bigyan natin ng loan. Okay? Okay. Ma'am, eto po. Ayan. Ma'am, pa-register na lang po kami, bit.ly/18th day campaign vow. Doon po yung registration link po natin, Ma'am Lolita. Ma'am Lolita, ano pong paso ang gusto po ninyo? Is it C, H, E, or D?
Hindi ka na ng paso mo.
Hindi ka ng paso mo, ma'am.
ED. Letter C. C, sir. Letter C.
Ano po?
Letter C, sir.
Letter C, sigurado po kayo doon?
Sir.
Are you sure?
Palitan mo. Ano ba yun siya? D na lang. D na lang, sir. D.
Sigurado kayo? O isa pa, last chance.
Isa pa. Letter E. Letter E, sir.
Letter E.
Yes, sir.
Sige po. Letter E. Ito po, letter E. Ang laman ng iyong paso ay?
200. Hindi ko makita. Hindi makita, sir.
Ayan.
Hindi namin makita, sir.
Ano po kapag Ay, ano saya ni Madam? Very good. Meron kang 250 pesos. Ma'am, antayin lang po yung ayuda ng pamahalaan. Maraming salamat. Thank you, Ma'am Lolita, for joining. Sana po, mag-join po ulit kayo tomorrow.
Ayuda, Doc.
Ayuda. Next, we have Ma'am Elisa Hinyola. Nandito po ba si Ma'am Elisa? 5 seconds. 5, 4, say winner, ma'am, kung nandito po kayo. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Naka-raise hand po ata si ma'am. Okay. Okay, sige. Ma'am Elisa, anong school po kayo? Elisa Hinyola. Nasaan na yung aking chat box? Ayun. Si Ma'am, Sir Elvin, si Ma'am Lolita, may number siyang binigay sa chat box. Ma'am Elisa, what school po kayo? Paki-ano na lang po, Pama. Very good. Okay, tiga Pama si Ma'am. O Ma'am, pili po kayo. O, isa-shuffle ko lang po yung laman ng ating paso. O Ma'am, ano po ang paso ang gusto po ninyo?
Saan ba yung, patingin? Yung video.
Sino yun? Okay. Ma'am Elisa.
Sir.
Yes, ayan. Ma'am, anong paso ang gusto po ninyo? Is it
Sir, sandali po, hindi pa ako naka-video.
Di okay lang. Sabihin mo na lang.
Ano, sir? Ano
Sabihin mo na lang kung anong paso. C-H-E or D?
D, sir.
Ano po?
D, letter D.
Letter D. Sigurado po kayo?
Yes, sir.
Okay, ilipat ko lang ito sa kabila. So, ang laman ng iyong paso, ma'am, ito po. Ito po ang laman ng iyong paso. Ang laman ay... Ma'am, pakibasa.
2,500.
Ay, parang sumobra. Sir, sandali.
Ano, sir?
Makakuha kami dyan.
Hindi po ako maka-ano sa video.
Sorry. Nanalo po kayo ng 250 pesos. Congratulations.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, at ayun lang po ang ating pa-load. Okay, next. Meron pa po tayong LB nila ng budget natin today. Okay, Ma'am Lizelle Di Malibot from Darakbang.
Siguro.
Ma'am Lizelle, nanalo po kayo. Nanalo na ba kayo?
Sir, nanalo na ako ng Zumba.
Ay! Buti pa si Madam. Honest. Sige na ma'am. Maraming salamat. Join po kayo tomorrow. Yes po.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay, next.
Hello.
Hello po.
Hi.
Sino po ito?
You know what? Hindi kasi ako
Ma'am Elisa, nanalo na po kayo. 250 million. Next, Ma'am Andrea Culiado. Parang ano ko na ito kanina.
250 million, Doc.
Oo, sir. 250 million pieces. Gladys, Ma'am Basilio. Nandito pa ba Ma'am Gladys? Si Ma'am Gladys nanalo ba last week? Elvin?
Sir, hindi pa, sir.
Hindi pa. Ayan. Ma'am. Si Ma'am Tiga Divine, College of Lawag. Ma'am, may paso po kami dito. I-shuffle ko lang yung laman ng ating paso. Anong paso ang gusto po ninyo? Is it C, H, E, or D?
C, as in Christmas bonus, sir.
Sigurado po kayo?
Sana nga po na bonus talaga yan.
Sana all may bonus. So, ang laman ng yung paso, ma'am, ay...
Wow! Thank you!
May 200 peso load po kayo, ma'am. Ma'am, antayin lang po yung pa-load ng opisina. Maraming salamat, ma'am, for joining. At sana
Thank you too, sir. Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas din po. Yes. Ma'am Gladys, yung number niyo daw po ay postpaid. Hindi po pwedeng iloadan yung postpaid. Kung may prepaid po kayo, ma'am, na number, please, lagay na lang po dito sa my chat box natin.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you too, sir.
Okay, next. Tanan. Ang susunod na mananalo ay si Ma'am Lulin Tabile. Ma'am Lulin. Ma'am, nandito po ba kayo? Say winner.
Yes,
Ayan. Okay. Ma'am, anong school po kayo, Ma'am Lulin?
From Northwestern University.
Lovelin. Ma'am, anong school?
Northwestern University Lawag, sir.
NWU. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Oo. Ma'am, anong paso ang gusto po ninyo? C, H, E, or D?
Letter C.
Sigurado kayo?
Sure na, sir.
Hindi ko alam.
First pick.
C na talaga.
Final answer, sir.
Ano? C.
C.
Sige na nga. Pagbigyan. Ang laman ng iyong paso, madam, ay... ilan ito?
Ay, 200,000.
Very good. May pa 200 pesos kami, madam, sa inyo.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
May pang-mobile data ka na para sa flexible learning.
Yes, thank you.
Congratulations. Welcome po. Next winner. From BMUF, JN Palitek. Ma'am JN, say winner kung nandito po kayo. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. Thank you so much, Ma'am Palitek. Okay, next. Mamaya papalitan natin. Magdodraw kami ng mga 15 winners. So far, nasa 9th winner pa po tayo. Ma'am Marites Fernando, nandito po ba kayo, ma'am? Say winner kung nandito po kayo. 5 seconds, Ma'am Marites. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. Next. Elvin, pakicheck yung chat box kung may nag-aano doon kasi hindi ko makita yung chat box ko. Next. Si Ma'am Egdona. Nanalo na si Ma'am to last week. Okay, next. Ma'am Arlene Castillo Pasion. Nandito po kayo, Ma'am Arlene. Say winner kung nandito po kayo. Ayan, may nagsalita. Hello, Ma'am Arlene.
Yes, sir.
Yes. What school po kayo? Tiga saan?
Lyceum Northern Luzon, Pro.
Lyceum Northern Luzon. Aba, LNL na naman.
Yes, ma'am.
Para ang daming na nanalo sa LNL, BMUF. Sino pa ba? Elvin, pakicheck nga ito kung nanalo na si Madam. Hindi pa.
Yung kasama ko.
Shuffle ko lang, Madam, ha, yung mga laman ng ating mga paso. Ma'am, ano ang gusto ninyong paso?
Letter H, sir.
Letter? Letter H.
H.
Sigurado po kayo?
Yes.
Okay. Ang laman ng iyong paso, letter H ba ito? Okay, ang laman ng iyong paso ay, baliktad. Ilan po ito, Madam?
100.
Very good. Meron po kayong ayuda na 200 million pesos. Okay. Thank you so much, Ma'am Arlene. Maraming salamat po for joining. Nag-message po ata sa may chat box. Sorry, Ma'am Agdonia. Once lang po manalo. Next, 10th winner. After ng 10th winner natin, papalitan natin yung value ng ating mga laman ng paso. Ma'am Lolita, nabunot na ito si Ma'am Loy. Okay, next. Rex Thomas. Sir Rex, nandito po ba kayo? Say winner kung nandito po kayo, Ma'am Sir Rex. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay, sorry po, Sir Lex. Ay, Rex pala. Okay, next. Sir George Dumlao. Sir George Dumlao, say winner kung nandito po kayo, sir. 5
Winner.
seconds. Ayun.
Winner.
Okay. Sir George, what school po kayo?
Virgen Milagrosa University Foundation, San Carlos City.
Ayun. Ayun, may prayer rally.
Complete, Doc. Complete. Name.
May pa-prayer rally sa BMU. Sir George, anong gusto mong paso? C, H, E, or D?
Letter H.
Letter H. Sigurado po ba kayo?
Sige, sure na.
Sure na sure?
Yeah, sure na sure. Salamat,
Okay.
Shopee.
Salamat, Shopee. Okay. Ang laman ng yung paso ay 200 pesos. Thank
Ay,
you.
wow.
Congratulations,
Thank
Sir
you.
George.
Salamat,
Yes,
Jen.
maraming salamat. Sali po ulit kayo tomorrow. Join us ulit bukas po. Okay,
Yes.
papalitan ko po yung value ng ating mga paso. Okay, tataasan po natin ng value ngayon. Ang ilalagay natin ay, ilan po ang gusto ninyo? Give me a value.
500.
Ha?
1 million, Doc.
Ay, nakakaloka. Sige, 500.
5.
Okay,
1,000.
1,000.
Wag naman. Sadali.
700.
700. Elvin, may budget pa ba tayo?
800.
700. 850.
1,000.
Okay, and then 1 million.
Yay!
Okay, yan. 1 million pesos. Sige. Siyempre, kailangan natin i-shuffle. Okay. Ayan. Ayan. Asan na? CHEB. Game. Okay. First, winner natin for higher value. Ay, LGU Mangaldan. Yung mga tiga Mangaldan, nandyan pa ba kayo? MPDCO. MPDCO, nandito pa ba kayo? 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ay, nawala na ata sila. Sandali. Check ko lang sa chat. Sir, postpaid po yung number ko. Dito na lang po. Okay. Sige, Sir Domlao. Noted po. Okay. From our LGU, meron po ba? Sir, say winner kung nandito po kayo. Okay, wala na po ata sila. Okay, next. Next, we have Sir Noel Harry Astilore. Sir Noel, say winner kung nandito po kayo.
Winner, sir.
Ayun, nagsalita. Sir, what school po tayo?
Union Christian College, sir.
Union Christian College. Aba, UCC. Okay, Union Christian College. Okay. Sir, anong course tinuturo ninyo?
Kan po, guidance coordinator po ako, sir.
Guidance coordinator. Okay. Sir, anong paso ang gusto po ninyo? Is it C, H, E, or D?
Si sir, as in Christmas, kagaya na sinabi ni ma'am kanina.
May pamasko? Okay. C. Ang laman ng iyong paso ay... Ano nasa ba ito?
Di makita, sir. Masyadong maliwanag.
Di makita? Ayan. Yan.
Wait lang,
okay
sir.
na ba?
Wala pa rin, sir.
Ayan.
850, sir.
Very good. May paayuda ka.
Sana all
850 million.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, Sir Luis. Don't worry, tomorrow.
Thank you, sir.
Tomorrow, lalakihan natin ang papremyo and then lahat join. Join lahat ng mga past winners.
Correct.
Natin.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you. Congratulations. Next. Next winner. Sino kaya ito? MMSU. MMSU, HRMO, nandito pa ba kayo, ma'am? Ma'am Nats, magsalita ka na. Yung mga kasama mo dyan. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ay, nako. Nawala ang mga tiga MMSU. Okay, next. Tan-tananan, tanan. Okay, from NCC, Ma'am Wilma Castillo, say winner kung nandito po kayo. Ano to? Ma'am Marites Abitong Fernando, buhay pa sir. Bakit? Anong nangyari sa inyo, ma'am? Ma'am Wilma Castillo, nandito po ba kayo? Say winner kung nandito po kayo. 5 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. May nag-chat. Sandali, check natin. Okay. Oo, Ma'am Marites. MMSU HRMO ka ba, ma'am? Marites Abitong Fernando. Sige. MMSU. Okay. Opo. Sumagot si madam. Ma'am, anong infirmary department? Sige po. Ma'am, anong paso ang gusto po ninyo? CHE or D? Higher value na tayo ha. Dapat mamili kayo ng tamang paso. Okay, napili nila ba? Ma'am Marites, pili po kayo ng paso.
Yes, sir.
Anong paso gusto ninyo, madam?
Sa seed din po. Para masaya, Christmas. Namamasko po sa C.
Sigurado po kayo?
Opo, sir.
Sureness?
Yes, sir. Salamat
Parang
po.
nakalimutan ko atang i-shuffle ito.
Ay, ala.
Hello, ka-ako. Sige na nga. Ito. Ang laman ng iyong paso ay...
Ay, 850.
Ay, very good.
Ay, ang saya. Merry Christmas.
Yes, Merry Christmas din po, madam.
Yes,
thank you
sir.
so
Salamat
much,
po sa
ha.
pamilya.
Maraming salamat din po. Ma'am, join din kayo next tomorrow po.
God bless you more po, sir.
Yes. Okay. Si Ma'am NCC, Castillo ata po iyon. Nandito po ba? Ang merienda daw sa may nag-ano na ba dyan ng GCash? Okay, next. Wala ata si Ma'am Castillo ng NCC. Hindi na siya nagparamdam. Sir Renz Cadorna. Sir Renz Cadorna, 5 seconds. Say winner kung nandito po kayo, sir. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sir, last call. Wala na po ba? Okay. Next. Tan-tananan, tanan. Rayfeline Fulig. Rayfeline, nandito ka pa ba, ma'am? Ayan, nagsalita. Ma'am Rayfeline, what school po kayo, ma'am?
Po.
Anong school po kayo?
OCS Educational Foundation po.
OCS, ma'am?
Yes po.
Okay, sige po. Okay, may mga paso po ako dito, madam. Okay, shuffle ko lang po yung laman ng ating mga paso. Okay.
Letter, anong gusto mo?
Madam, anong letter ang gusto po ninyo? C, H, E, or D?
Letter E po.
Sigurado po kayo?
Yes po.
Okay, sige madam, pagbibigyan po kayo. Ang laman ng yung paso ay bakit palagi ito? Ma.